Chapter 1234. Soft Persimmon 1. Wah! This was the man-eating vine. He's so ugly. Lu Tao looked at the man-eating vine that was cursing outside, and said with a face full of disgust. Yep. Why does it have a human face but a plant body? Fengde was also puzzled. Was this considered a side effect of an incomplete advancement? Some kind of accident must have happened when this plant advanced. Otherwise, it's unlikely that such a situation would occur. Qiu explained with an evil smile. Plant-type creatures were most afraid of being disturbed when advancing in rank, so this plant was in its current state. Then is it possible for it to advance normally? Or will it always be like this in the future? Suizhu asked curiously. From the looks of it, this plant was a female. If it could only remain like this in the future, it was likely that this female man-eating vine would suffer for the rest of its life. Oh. After a long time, their hearts would definitely change, such as being perverted, being cynical, and so on. It'll be a big deal if it's always like this in the future. But it doesn't matter. It won't live long anyway. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Qiu said disapprovingly. It was true that it liked heavenly and earthly treasures, but this plant was definitely not on its list of favorites. Therefore, it couldn't wait for someone to get rid of this plant. Not to mention others. The first one the little fire spirit would not let go of was that man-eating vine. That's true, miss. Are we just going to let it scold us like that? When are you going to go out and clean it up? Suizhu said somewhat impatiently. In a while the evildoer, godfather, great elder, senior brother, Mo Yan and Lu Feng will go out. The rest of you stay in the house and don't act rashly. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Even though this man-eating vine's strength was only equivalent to a high-level deity, this was still its lair after all. Furthermore, it had a huge number of vines. She was afraid that it would not be able to take care of everyone. Hence, it was better to let them stay in the house. Miss, you can't not bring me along. Fengde quickly said. Miss, I want to go too. Chengwu said, unwilling to show weakness. All right, all of you follow me out. Songdi as well. The rest of you can stay in the house and watch the battle. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Furthermore, looking at her grandfather and brother's expressions, she had no choice but to bring them along. After a simple discussion of their strategy, Leng Ruoxue and the rest sat on the ground calmly and steadily, waiting for the right moment. The god-eating vine, which had been scolding for nearly an entire morning, saw that no one dared to come out and court death. It suddenly felt as if it had punched cotton, and had no way to vent the gloominess in its heart. Thinking of this, it curled its branches and brought the weak little beast to its eyes. Did you see that? Those humans who were as timid as mice didn't dare to come out at all. They were afraid, haha. And you? Do you want to see your child? If you want to, get them to come out and die. I promise you that I'll let you see your child one last time. The god-devouring vine roared. It believed that the people hiding in the houses could hear it. I don't have the ability to call him out for you. If you have the ability, you can call me that. The weak little beast lifted its eyelids and said with a light smile, Damn it. You're really looking for death. The god-devouring vine roared. After it finished, it stuck its branches into the little beast's body and started to suck its blood. It really wanted to taste fresh human blood. It had had enough of this detestable little beast's blood. Reading on Maibo XNOVL. Calm please. Haha. You can't bear to see me die. Little beastie was very certain. It closed its eyes and didn't look at the divine eating vine. Damn it, open your eyes. The god-devouring vine saw that the little beast was ignoring it, and the anger in its heart surged. However, the little beastie didn't seem to hear him. Only its weak breathing proved that it was still alive. In the house, Xiaoxiao's tears began to stream down her face at the sight of this scene. She muttered to herself. Mother! Mother! Xiao, is that little beastie your mother? Lu Tao asked in surprise. No wonder she found the little beast familiar. However, weren't soul-gnawing beasts supposed to be very powerful? How did her little mother become the man-eating vine's food? She really couldn't understand. Yes, it's Mom. Xiao cried. Xiao, did you get the wrong person? How could that little beast be your mother? Isn't your mother very powerful? Fonda couldn't help but ask. Even Ziyu, a half-beast human with the strength of a divine emperor, would feel fear towards an adult soul-eating beast. Therefore, he really couldn't believe that his little mother would be controlled by that man-eating vine, and even become its food. Xiao Xiao won't be wrong. That's Mommy. Ooh, Mommy is in pain. Sister, save Mommy. Xiao Xiao cried and begged, its tears wetting its snow-white fur. At this moment, its pitiful little appearance made everyone's heart ache. Don't worry, Xiao Xiao. We'll definitely think of a way to get your mother out. However, Xiao Xiao, you have to do as your sister says, understand? Leng Ruoxue reminded. Yes, I'll listen to you. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Xiao Xiao nodded her head vigorously, looking very obedient. All right then, Xiao Xiao. When we go out later, just follow what I taught you and look at your sister's eyes. After Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, she whispered a few words into Xiao Xiao's ear and reminded her again. Yes. Xiao Xiao nodded again. Following that, Leng Ruoxue and the rest opened the door of the house and walked out. When the god-devouring vine, which was sucking the blood of the small beast, saw that the despicable humans were finally willing to come out of the house, it threw the small beast in front of it onto the ground behind it. Then its beautiful eyes sized up Leng Ruoxue and the rest. Although it had already observed these people when it was underground, it was still shocked and jealous to see them at such a close distance. It was shocked that the men in front of it were more handsome than each other. It was jealous of the hateful woman in front of it. How could she be more beautiful than it? This was something it could not tolerate. So, the woman was dead for sure. As for those men, it would let them live well and be its exclusive property. It would suck their blood every day and make these men its captives for life, loyal to it forever. It would always belong to it. Ha ha. The god-eating vine laughed wildly in the depths of its heart and was daydreaming. Chapter 1235, Soft Persimmon 2. Humans, you're finally willing to roll out of your house. The god-eating vine said with a disdainful smile. Man-eating vine, you must be mistaken. We've been waiting for you outside, but you didn't want to come out from the ground. Now you're blaming us? This is ridiculous. Fonda replied with a mocking smile. What did you just call me? The god-eating vine glared at him and roared. Man-eating vines. Why, did I address him wrongly? Could it be that you're a herbivore? Fonda teased with a smirk. Damn it, don't compare me to those low-level carnivorous plants. I'm the god-devouring vine, the king of plants. When you see me, you should bow to show respect. However, since this is your first offense, this king will not haggle with you. The god-devouring vine said with a magnanimous look. Its narcissistic words made Leng Ruoxue and the others laugh wildly. Ha ha. You call yourself the king of plants? May I ask who approved of this? Don't tell me you self-proclaimed it. I am dying of laughter. Fonda didn't give him any face as he laughed out loud. Although the others didn't say anything, the smiles on their faces revealed what they were thinking. The divine devouring vine's words were too ridiculous. How audacious! This king was born to be the king of plants, and you all dare to look down on me. I will make you regret this. The god-eating vine was furious, and its pretty face turned livid with anger. I wonder how you want us to regret this? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. I will kill you. As for these men, let them be my exclusive property. This king just so happens to need some male pets and food. In the future, you will all be this king's people. As long as you are obedient, not only will this king not eat you, but this king will also love you well. The god-eating vine boasted shamelessly. When Fonda and the rest heard the man-eating vine's words, their expressions became extremely strange. None of them had expected that this man-eating vine was not only narcissistic, but also extremely lecherous. He wanted them to be his male companions, but what did he want them to do? When Leng Ruoxue heard the man-eating vine's arrogant words, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. She even looked at Fonda and the rest with a gloating expression and teased. Oh, Fonda, you guys will be its male pets in the future, so you guys have to perform well. Fonda's forehead was full of black lines and he couldn't help but reply. Miss, you're going to die soon. You won't be able to see if we perform well or not. What a pity. That's true. Man-eating vines. Don't kill me first. Let me see if they have the qualifications to be your male companions. Then you can kill me. Lung Ruoxue was discussing with the man-eating vines calmly. Damn it, I told you I'm not a man-eating vine. I'm the noble king of plants, God-eating vine. If you dare to call me a man-eating vine again, I'll eat you right now. The divine devouring vine was so angry that its branches and leaves trembled, and it roared at the top of its lungs. Reading on Mibo XNOVL. Calm please. Calm down. Pay attention to your image. No other king would shout like you. It's beneath your status. Lung Ruoxue reminded. Damn it. That's because I'm angry with you guys. I'll eat whoever dares to call me man-eating vine again. The god-devouring vine threatened furiously. From its words, it sounded as if Lung Ruoxue and the others had already become its food. Man-eating vine, do you really need men? I suggest you find a plant like green foxtail grass. It's a good match for you. Fengde suggested with a smile. Fengde, you're wrong. How can this man-eating vine be worthy of green foxtail grass? Don't humiliate the green foxtail grass. It has its own dignity and will not take a fancy to this man-eating vine. Chengwu corrected him with a serious expression. Yes, that makes sense. I was wrong. I shouldn't have randomly chosen a couple. Fengde immediately admitted his mistake and had a good attitude. However, their cooperation made the divine eating vine even angrier. Now the divine eating vine was very sure that these two people were doing this on purpose to anger it to death. Thinking of this, the god-eating vine stretched out its long branches and swept toward Fengde and Chengwu. The branch was soft and long, extremely tough, and extremely fast. Before anyone could react, Fengde and Chengwu had already been swept away by the branch. The god-devouring vine waved its branches and swung Fengde and Chengwu in the air. Its intention was obvious. It wanted to give them a scare and make them faint. However, Fengde and Chengwu would not let it have its way. The two of them were having fun in the air, and Chengwu kept urging. Higher. Higher. Yes, yes, throw it higher. Make your movements more intense. Fengde also said with a smile. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest on the ground heard Fengde and Chengwu's words, cold sweat trickled down their foreheads. They secretly sighed in their hearts. So these two fellows were treating the man-eating vines as free labor. The pitiful man-eating vines. He had actually encountered these abnormal humans. When the divine devouring vine heard the conversation between the two of them, it was so angry that all the branches on its body trembled. More and more branches extended towards Lung Ruoxue and the others, and with a whoosh, they wrapped around them. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest saw this, they went with the flow. None of them struggled, allowing the man-eating vines to do whatever they wanted. When the divine devouring vine saw that it had easily succeeded, it couldn't help but become more and more proud. In its opinion, these humans were too weak and couldn't even withstand a single blow. Otherwise, how could they have been caught by it? Oh right, where did that little bastard go? He seemed to have seen it just now. The divine devouring vine searched everywhere, and finally found a snow-white figure in Lung Ruoxue's arms. Damned human, hand over that little bastard to me, and I'll let you die a quick death. The divine devouring vine's eyes were filled with hatred as it glared at Xiao Xiao, who was in Lung Ruoxue's arms. If I don't give you Xiao Xiao, how do you plan on letting me die? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. I'll first suck your blood dry, then eat your flesh. Then, I'll throw you, who only has one breath left, into the forest to feed the wild beasts. I'll let you see with your own eyes that you're being gnawed at by wild beasts, and hear your bones making cracking sounds in the mouths of wild beasts. At that time, you'll wish you were dead. AI. What a waste of such a beautiful face. The divine devouring vine said, burning with jealousy. Chapter 1236. Soft Persimmon 3. Yes. It was jealous. It was jealous of that woman's devastatingly beautiful face and sexy figure, because it could never become a real woman again. All of this was because of that little evildoer, so it hated her. It hated all the beautiful women, but it hated those little bastards even more. Therefore, it would never let go of the two types of creatures that fell into its trap. One was women, and the other was children. That's a good idea. Lung Ruoxue praised the man-eating vine after hearing its words. Ha ha ha. It's good that you like it. The god-eating vine laughed wildly, and its face became more and more proud. Suddenly, it felt a burst of pain. It looked up and saw that the two men it had caught had broken free of its restraints and were falling from the air. They were each holding a knife in their hands, and dark red liquid was dripping from the knife. Needless to say, it was its blood. Seeing this scene, the god-eating vine was angry again. It quickly stretched out its branches and attacked Fengde and Qingwu. However, for some reason, the two people's movements became more flexible. It attacked left and right, but it couldn't do anything to the other party. This made it a little anxious. At the same time, the pain from its branches spread to its trunk, causing its heart to tremble. Seeing the people trapped by it break out one after another, and give it a heavy blow before leaving, this fact almost made it go crazy. Damned human! I'm going to kill you all. Looking at its broken branches and leaves, the god-eating vine was very angry, because those vines were of great importance to it. They were not only a part of its body, but also shared its strength. Now those branches were broken, which meant that its strength had been damaged. How could it not be angry from embarrassment? Man-eating vine, don't just say it. You should prove it with your actions. Lung Ruoxue, who was floating in midair, suggested with a faint smile. I'll prove it to you, you damn woman. The god-eating vine couldn't be bothered to correct the other party for not calling it a man-eating vine. Right now, it only wanted to kill this detestable woman in front of it. And these men, it also decided to eliminate them. Because it didn't need disobedient male pets or food. It would make these humans pay the price. Then come quickly. I'll be waiting. Lung Ruoxue urged impatiently. Damn woman, you're asking for death. The fiery god-devouring vine gathered all its branches and leaves together, and pounced towards Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue looked at the man-eating vine's extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, it had already reached her. Unhurriedly, she released a small flame from her fingertip. The small flame jumped excitedly, as if it was very happy that it could be of use again. After seeing the man-eating vine, it could not wait to fly towards it. Whoosh! The man-eating vine's branches were set ablaze, followed by the man-eating vine's agonized cries. Arg! Damn it! What kind of fire is that? How can he be so powerful? The god-devouring vine endured the pain and cut off its burning branch, questioning angrily. It's just an ordinary flame. Why? I'm really sorry for the pain. I didn't do it on purpose. I forgot that wood is afraid of fire. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. However, there was not a single trace of apology on her beautiful face. Reading on Mibo XNOVL. Calm please. Ordinary flames? Do you think I'm as gullible as a 3-year-old child? That's definitely not an ordinary flame, and am not a piece of wood. The god-eating vine roared in exasperation. It felt a trace of fear towards Lung Ruoxue. The flames had multiplied its fear, because it knew very well that it was no match for the flames. If it was an ordinary flame, it would not have been able to burn its branches. However, the flames had not used any strength and had burned its branches into ashes. This was enough to show that the level of the flames was very high. It was also afraid of the flames that the little doll had released. At the thought of this, Lung Ruoxue and the little doll that had not appeared in front of it had become people that it could not provoke for the time being. However, it was not as afraid of the rest. Since it had made up its mind to kill all the humans, it would not be merciful to them. However, it still had to choose the soft persimmons. After looking around, it chose a soft persimmon, and it chose Bing Yao. This man was too beautiful. If it wasn't for the fact that these humans were so hateful, it really wanted to keep this man by its side and enjoy him. What a pity. The beautiful man in front of it was destined to be its target. Although it was a little reluctant, it had decided to kill Bing Yao. After making the decision, all of its branches flew towards Bing Yao in an instant. In the blink of an eye, it had tied Bing Yao up and brought him to its eyes. Upon closer inspection, the man was stunningly beautiful. Although there were men more beautiful than him among these humans, he was more pleasing to the eye because he was too similar to the person in its heart, whether it was in temperament or appearance. Bing Yao, who was tied up like a hairpin, felt the man-eating vine's gaze on him. He did not hesitate and allowed the man-eating vine to admire him. Although he did not like the way the man-eating vine looked at him as if he was its prey, he should not be so stingy when facing someone who was about to die. He would just do a good deed. Am I beautiful? The god-eating vine, who was immersed in its memories, asked with a shy expression. So ugly. I've never seen anyone uglier than you. Bing Yao said honestly. Although he wanted to do good every day, he couldn't lie. No normal human would think that a wooden stake was beautiful. Could it be uglier than this? The god-devouring vine was furious. It used a branch to roll up the little beast behind it, and questioned Bing Yao. At least it's cute. But look at you. You're neither a human nor a tree. You can't be considered beautiful. Bing Yao said honestly. I'm in this state because of them. I won't let it go, and I won't let that little bastard go. The god-devouring vine pointed at the weak little beast and said. Thinking of the past, the anger in its heart became more and more uncontrollable. We didn't harm you. It's your own evil intentions. You harmed yourself. At this moment, the weak little beast spoke indifferently. It sneaked a glance at the snow-white little beast in the woman's arms from the corner of its eye, and its heart softened. I didn't. Why would I want to harm myself? It's all your fault. The god-eating vine roared angrily, but it didn't get any response from little beast. Calm down. You're already in this state, and weird things won't solve the problem, right? I think you're in a lot of pain living like this, so why don't I help you free yourself? Bing Yao said with a smile, but the words he said were so vicious that it almost made the divine devouring vine vomit blood. Even you want me to die? The god-eating vine said with a heartbroken expression. Whether you die or not has nothing to do with me. However, if you don't die, I'm afraid we'll be the ones to die. So you should die. Bing Yao thought for a while, and said with certainty. You really want me to die? The god-eating vine confirmed again. Yes, yes. Bing Yao quickly nodded. Why? Why do you all want me dead? You want me to die, but I want to live well. I'm going to kill all of you. The god-eating vine roared fiercely. However, no one took its roar seriously. Instead, they watched as it dug its own grave. They couldn't help but gloat in their hearts. What a pitiful man-eating vine. He originally thought that he had picked a soft persimmon, but who knew that he had picked a hard bone? Did Bing Yao have a face that could deceive the public? Damn woman, do you want to save this man in my hands? If you want to, you can exchange it with the little beast in your arms. The god-eating vine said. Dung. When the weak little beast heard the god-eating vine's words, it hurriedly said nervously. However, it was too embarrassed to ask them not to use its child to exchange for their people. So after only 2 shouts, it stopped making any more sounds. The god-eating vine also didn't allow it to speak and directly threw it from the air to the ground behind it, so that this annoying little beast wouldn't ruin its good plan. What if I say I won't exchange with you? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously. You actually don't care about your friend's life and death for a bastard of unknown origin, haha. The friendship between you humans is nothing more than this. The divine devouring vine said sarcastically. Its face was filled with contempt for Lung Ruoxua. You don't have to worry about our friendship. Just take care of yourself. Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. That damned woman. You really don't want to exchange with me? The god-eating vine said, unwilling to give up. No, Lung Ruoxua was very certain, but the god-eating vine didn't fully believe her words. In the god-eating vine's heart, this woman was just holding on. How could she ignore the life and death of her human friend for a little beast? Don't regret it if you don't exchange with me. The god-eating vine reminded. You're so long-winded. I said I want trade, so I won't trade. As for the man you caught, if you can really kill him, I'll consider you capable. Lung Ruoxua said impatiently. Do you really think I don't dare to kill him? The god-eating vine roared, and its branches trembled in anger. If you dare to kill me, then kill me. Stop talking nonsense. Lung Ruoxua waved her hand as if she was chasing away a fly. Little Xue. Or how could you do this to me? I'm so sad. Bing Yao's beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she said pitifully. However, his act of pity was ignored by Lung Ruoxua. The divine devouring vine's heart ached for him. This woman is so heartless. You'd better follow me in the future. I'll definitely treat you well. The God-eating vine promised. Oh, how are you going to treat me well? Bing Yao asked curiously. I'll suck less of your blood every day so that you can live longer. I'll definitely make you live longer than this detestable little beast. The God-eating vine said with a charitable expression. Pfft. When everyone heard the man-eating vine's words, they could not help but laugh. After all this, in the man-eating vine's heart, sucking less blood and letting it live longer was already treating it well. Chapter 1237. Self-Destruction 1. Damn it! What are you laughing at? No one is allowed to laugh. The God-devouring vine saw that everyone was grinning from ear to ear, and couldn't help but swing its branches in anger, trying to threaten the other party. Unfortunately, it was ignored by Fengde and the others. Man-eating vines. You're too overbearing, we can't even laugh. Fengde said as he held back his laughter. If it wasn't for the fact that he felt that the man-eating vine's words were too laughable, they wouldn't be laughing so happily. No, none of you are allowed to laugh anymore. The divine devouring vine roared and then glared at Bing Yao. Do you want to follow me or not? Hurry up and answer me. I don't want to. Bing Yao replied without even thinking. Why? Didn't I say I would treat you well? You're still not satisfied? Why are all men so greedy? The divine devouring vine heard Bing Yao's words and roared in anger. It's not that men are greedy, but no man can accept your kindness. Bing Yao spoke the truth. Which normal man would be able to accept such kindness? Was it a good thing to suck less blood and live a little longer? Rather than living like that, he might as well kill himself. At least the pain would be less. However, looking at the man-eating vine's crazed appearance, could it have been rejected by the man before? Oh. It was normal to reject it, but it was abnormal to accept it. Why not? I didn't eat you all. What else do you want? The God-eating vine was furious. Why did all the men it liked hurt it like this? It was like that in the past, and it was the same with the one in front of it now. It couldn't understand how it couldn't compare to that hateful little beast. You're being nice to us just because you didn't eat us? Bing Yao said sarcastically. Plants were just plants. How could they understand what true feelings were? The man-eating vine dealt with people based on its instincts. In its heart, men were equivalent to food. However, no man with flesh and blood was willing to be food. What else do you want? The God-eating vine was confused. We want to live with dignity. However, you won't understand what dignity is. In your eyes, everyone can become food. The only difference is whether you allow the food to live longer. Bing Yao said calmly. Right. You're right, everyone is my food, so I'm the only one who can decide your life and death. I'm going to ask you one last time. Do you want to follow me or not? The God-eating vine didn't want to waste any more time and asked directly. I still have the same 2 words, no. Bing Yao said without hesitation. Damn it. I've already given you the opportunity, but you didn't know how to grasp it. Don't blame me for being merciless. The God-eating vine was very annoyed. Why did all the men it liked not like it? It couldn't understand why no man liked it when it was so beautiful and had a high status in the botanic world. Why? Whatever you want. Bing Yao said without a care. Reading on Maibo XNOVL. Come please. You asked for this. After saying that, the divine devouring vine extended its branches towards Bing Yao, who was tied up like a dumpling. If it couldn't get it, it wouldn't let others have the chance to get it. Since you don't want to be its man, then be its food. Eating the man it liked was also one of its greatest pleasures. Because only in this way would the man it liked belong to it forever, and no one could take him away. However, as soon as the vine reached Bing Yao, he grabbed it with his bare hands. He flicked it with his divine power, and the vine was broken. How did you break my branches? The God-eating vine looked at its broken branch and said in disbelief. Aren't they just some dried branches? What can't be shaken? Bing Yao said with a faint smile, but his eyes were fixed on the branch in his hand, studying it. This branch was slightly different from the other branches because its front end was actually something like a suction cup. There were also sharp spikes on it, but the center of the spikes was empty, forming a tube. It could be seen that this branch was specially used by man-eating vines to suck blood. Why you let me go? The god-devouring vine looked at its most important branch being held by Bing Yao for research, and it suddenly became nervous. It was afraid that the man would break the branch it used to suck blood just like the other branches. Moreover, although it had many branches all over its body, this was the only one it used to eat. If it was broken, it would take hundreds of years to grow back. As a result, it would have to starve for the next hundreds of years. As a divine devouring vine, the most unbearable thing for it was not being able to drink fresh blood. Therefore, it would never tolerate its branch being damaged. What if I don't? This branch is quite interesting. I really want to cut it open and study it in detail. Do you agree? Bing Yao asked curiously. I don't agree. I don't agree. The god-eating vine immediately cried out. Woo! It would be a ghost if it agreed. That hateful man. What a terrifying man. Why did it think that this man was easy to bully? Now it realized that it might have been wrong. It's not up to you to disagree. Bing Yao laughed coldly and took out a silver dagger from his storage ring. The dagger was extremely sharp, and it gave off a cold air. One look, and one could tell that it was not an ordinary dagger. Bing Yao held a dagger in his hand and gestured on the branch, as if he was choosing a suitable place to cut. This scene frightened the god-eating vine. The branches all over its body trembled, and it used all its strength to pull the branch back from Bing Yao's hand. However, Bing Yao would not give it the chance. Everyone heard a pop sound and saw a 1-foot-long gash on the branch in Bing Yao's hand. Red liquid gushed out, and the divine eating vine scream was heard. Art! How detestable! How detestable! I won't let you go, you're dead! The divine devouring vine cried out in pain, and the branches on its body trembled even more violently. However, Bing Yao didn't take its threat seriously at all. Chapter 1238. Self-Destruction. 2. Bing Yao held the branch that was as thick as a baby's arm tightly in his hand. He started to move the sharp dagger up and down again. Then he found the right position and cut again. Then the god-eating vine's scream sounded again. Bing Yao seemed to be addicted to it. He cut here and there, and the people could only hear the man-eating vine's screams never stop. In fact, each scream was louder than the last. The god-devouring vine screamed and cursed. The more it cursed, the more Bing Yao's dagger slashed. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but feel a few black lines on their foreheads. They couldn't help but secretly sigh. Bing Yao was so terrifying. He actually tortured the man-eating vines like this. Fortunately, they weren't Bing Yao's enemies. If they were in his place, they wouldn't be able to stand it either. Sigh. The pitiful man-eating vines. Why did you have to provoke Bing Yao of all people? Wasn't this just looking for trouble? The fate of the man-eating vines made them believe even more firmly that one could not judge a book by its cover. Despicable humans. After a long while, the god-eating vine was still scolding, but its voice was getting weaker and weaker. Bing Yao seemed to be tired as well. He stopped what he was doing and looked at the man-eating vine with a faint smile. I'll rest for a while, and we'll continue later. You should rest too. I don't want to have no energy to scold later. Bing Yao suggested with a smile. When the god-eating vine heard Bing Yao's words, it was so angry that it almost fainted. However, it did need to rest for a while. This man had too many ways to torture it. If it did not rest up enough, it was afraid that it would be tortured to death. Ooh, this demon. I can't believe you would have this day. Suddenly, a weak voice rang in the divine eating vine's ears. When the divine eating vine heard this voice, it immediately became spirited again. How could it have forgotten about this little beast that deserved to die? With this little beast here, these humans wouldn't dare to kill it. Thinking of this, it couldn't help but feel a little proud. This little beast was quite useful. He could be its food when he was free, and now he could save its life. It seemed that he had made the right decision not to kill the little beast. The god-eating vine's long branch gently rolled back, and the little beast it had thrown behind it was brought to its eyes. Moreover, with the little beast as a protective talisman, it felt a little more relaxed. Detestable human, let go of my blood-sucking vines, or I'll kill this little beast. The god-eating vine raised the little beast in front of its eyes and threatened. I say, man-eating vine, you must be mistaken. This little beast has nothing to do with us. Do you think it's useful to use it to threaten us? Bing Yao said, a little speechless. Yep. Man-eating vine, do you have a brain? What does this little beast's life or death have to do with us? If you want to use it to threaten us, you've found the wrong person. Fonda also laughed and teased. It's that little bastard's mother. I don't believe that you want save it for that little bastard. The divine devouring vine said confidently. Previously, it had asked that hateful woman for that little vile spawn, but that woman had refused to give it to it. Therefore, it was very certain that the woman would definitely save this hateful little beast for the little vile spawn in her arms. At that time, it would be able to escape, because it was now very sure that it was no match for these humans. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. When it had achieved some success in its cultivation, it would naturally come back to seek revenge on these humans. Reading on MyBoXNOVL. Come please. You said it's Xiaoxiao's mommy, so it's Xiaoxiao's mommy? Do you think we're as stupid as you and will believe your words? Lung Ruoxua mocked calmly. Why don't you believe me? This little beast is the mother of the little bastard in your arms. This is absolutely true. The god-devouring vine couldn't help but roar. It was so angry that it was going crazy. These humans were too difficult to deal with. It had seen many humans in the forest, but this was the first time it had encountered such a difficult one. It was really infuriating. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. Do you need a reason? Don't think that senior brother will let you off just because you randomly find a little beast to pretend to be Xiao Xiao's mother. Lung Ruoxua chuckled. After she finished speaking, she lowered her head and asked little Xiao, who was in her arms. Xiao Xiao, the man-eating vine said that the little beast in its hands is your mother. Is it? It's not. Xiao Xiao doesn't have a mother. Xiao Xiao looked up at little beastie with its watery eyes and said softly. However, it couldn't help but think, Mommy, Mother, bear with it. Big sister will save you. Why isn't it? She is your mother. You little bastard, you don't even recognize your own mother. When the divine devouring vine heard Xiaoxiao's words, it roared angrily. It really isn't. Don't try to find a soul-gnawing beast to pretend to be my mother. I'm not that easy to fool. Xiao Xiao pouted her little mouth and said stubbornly, Damn you, you little bastard. Your father died to save you. And your mother suffered because of you. You don't acknowledge them. You really have no conscience. The god-eating vine roared with a pained expression. It's not that I don't recognize it, but I don't even know the soul-gnawing beast you speak of. How do you want me to recognize it? I can't just randomly acknowledge a mother. How can I face my mother who gave birth to me like that? Xiao Xiao said seriously. Quickly tell that little bastard that you're its biological mother. Hurry up and let it recognize you. The god-eating vine saw this and ordered the weak little beast in its hand. It's right, I'm not its mother, and I won't randomly acknowledge my own child. So don't waste your time. I won't let you have your wish. The weak little beast said with a strong backbone. It looked at the little white beast in Lung Ruoxia's arms lovingly and prayed in its heart. Child, you have to take good care of yourself. Mother would rather die than let this demon hurt you. To be able to see you once. Mother is already dead without any regrets. Do you believe that I will kill you right now? The god-eating vine was filled with hatred when it saw that it couldn't achieve its goal. It hated the humans who had forced it, but it hated the detestable little beast in its hands even more. All right. Go ahead and kill. I've always wanted to accompany Brother Fan. The weak little beast said with a light smile. Now that it saw that its child was living well, it had nothing to worry about. Thus, the threat of the god-eating vine to it was not of much use. Chapter 1239, Self-Destruction 3. You wish. I won't let you die. Hearing the little beast's words, the god-eating vine recalled the past. Naturally, it would not let the little beast have its way. You want to go down and accompany Brother Fan? Dream on. Even if it meant death, it would not let them be together. I knew it. But even if you die, Brother Fan will not want to see you. The weak little beast provoked the demon on purpose. The Brother Fan that it was talking about was its most beloved partner, and also its father. However, he was taken by this demon and was eaten cruelly. It doesn't want to see me, but it also can't see you. Haha. If I can't get it, then no one else can. The divine devouring vine laughed arrogantly. At this moment, it had even forgotten the threat that these humans posed to it. It only thought of stepping on its love rival. Fengde and the others perked up their ears to listen to the conversation between the man-eating vine and the weak little beast. They all thought to themselves in unison, so that little beast isn't just the man-eating vine's food. There was even some gossip about the emotional entanglement between the two of them. However, weren't man-eating vines plants? Why did she take a fancy to a little beast? Xiao Xiao's father should also be a beast, right? However, on second thought, if even they wanted to keep the man-eating vines as their exclusive property, it was normal for them to take a fancy to a beast, right? From the looks of it now, the man-eating vines had quite a variety of tastes. They ate everything and could take in anything. The divine devouring vine's smug laughter continued for a long time, and Leng Ruoxue and the others didn't interrupt it. After it was done laughing, Bing Yao said indifferently, "Man-eating vine, you've rested enough. Let's continue." "Dante, I don't want to continue. How dare you treat me like this? I'm the king of plants." The god-devouring vine heard Bing Yao's words and immediately roared to refuse. Unfortunately, Bing Yao was not moved at all. He directly cut off the front end of the blood-sucking vine in his hand with his dagger. In an instant, more red liquid spurted out and landed on the ground, emitting a foul smell. The divine devouring vine's screams were even louder, deafening to the ears. Fengde and the others couldn't help but cover their ears, so that the demonic sound wouldn't pierce through them. At the same time, they couldn't help but resent Bing Yao for letting the man-eating vines out. He should have blocked its mouth first before cutting off its branches. In the next second, Bing Yao seemed to know what Fengde and the others were thinking. As expected, he blocked the man-eating vine's mouth with his ice attribute skill first. Then he used his dagger to cut the man-eating vine's blood-sucking vines. At this time, the man-eating vine could not make a sound even though it was in pain. When Fengde and the rest saw this, they let go of their hands that were covering their ears and looked at the man-eating vine with sympathy. "Poor guy, this is just the beginning." The god-eating vine trembled in pain. Seeing its blood-sucking vine leave its trunk, it was filled with hatred. It wanted to command its vines to attack the detestable man. But it suddenly lost control of its branches. Fortunately, the weak little beast was still tightly bound by it. Otherwise, it would have lost its last bargaining chip. At this moment, it still believed that the detestable little beast would become its protective talisman. As long as the little beast existed, the humans would not kill it. After cutting off a small part of the man-eating vine, Bing Yao threw out a few more ice blades. Whoosh! With a few sounds, the man-eating vine's branches were all broken into several pieces. In the blink of an eye, the originally luxuriant man-eating vines were all cut off except for the trunk that remained intact. The weak little beast that was bound by the man-eating vines also broke free from the man-eating vine's control and fell to the ground. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue quickly brought the weak little beast away from the man-eating vine's range, so that it would not be used by the man-eating vines to threaten them. Reading on Maibo Xn OVL. Calm please. Woo woo. When the god-eating vine saw that all of its things had fallen into the hands of a human, it couldn't help but glare at Bing Yao with hatred in its eyes. However, its mouth was sealed, so other than whimpering, it couldn't say a single word. Seeing this, Bing Yao kindly removed the restraint on its mouth, and then smiled and said, "All right, you can say whatever you want to say now. Damned human. Return that little beast to me, it's mine." The divine devouring vine shouted crazily, but Leng Ruoxue ignored its words. Leng Ruoxue bent down to check on the weak little beast's condition. Then, she took out a pill from her bracelet and placed it into the little beast's mouth. After eating the pill, the little beast quickly recovered its strength. Although it was still a little weak, it was much better than its previous sickly appearance. Moreover, because the little beast had lost too much blood for a long time and was malnourished, a small pill was not enough to immediately recover. At this moment, Xiao Xiao, who was in Leng Ruoxue's arms, had already jumped down impatiently and pounced into the arms of the weak little beast. It looked at the adult soul-gnawing beast with tears in its eyes and cried out loudly, "Mother! Xiao Xiao really misses you. My child, my child. The adult soul-gnawing beast hugged Xiao Xiao as tears flowed down its cheeks. It had never thought that its own child would actually recognize it. Initially, it had thought that this child had really forgotten about it. After all, when it had sent its child away, its child had not been born yet. Mother, I'll take revenge for you. I won't let that man-eating vine off. Xiao Xiao looked at its mother's extremely weak appearance and said with a heart full of hatred. No wonder it did not see its parents when it was born. It turned out that it had been captured by these man-eating vines. Ooh, damn man-eating vines. They dared to torture its mother. It would make them regret it. No, Dungy. Child, you're still too young. You're not a match for the man-eating vines. Don't act rashly. When the adult soul-gnawing beast heard this, it was so frightened that it hurriedly reminded. It's okay, big sister will help me. Xiao Xiao said confidently. She even turned around and smiled at Lung Ruoxue in an attempt to please her. When Lung Ruoxue heard Xiaoxiao's words and saw the way Xiao Xiao was trying to please her, she could not help but laugh. Was this cunning little guy treating her as a fighter? However, it was indeed impossible for her to let this man-eating vine go. It was quite dangerous to have such a disgusting thing in her territory. Forget it. She would just help the little mother and son along the way. However, before Lung Ruoxue could do anything, the divine devouring vine, who had personally witnessed the soul-gnawing beast's reunion with its mother, was greatly shocked. It roared loudly in disbelief. Damn it! Didn't you refuse to admit your relationship with each other? Then what are you looking like now? It's our business what we want to do. Is it any of your business? Xiao Xiao replied without giving him any face. Damned vile spawn, I won't let you off, and I won't let you humans off. The god-eating vine said incoherently and angrily. I say man-eating vines. You've already said this many times. If you really want to kill us, then do it. Oh, by the way, you're considered to have no hands now, right? I wonder if you have any other way to kill us? Fengde asked curiously when he heard the man-eating vine's words. I'm going to die with you. Provoked by Fengde's words, the divine devouring vine roared in anger. Then, it mobilized all its strength and gathered it on the remaining main vine. As the main vine slowly expanded, the divine devouring vine also grew bigger and bigger. Soon its main stem had doubled in size. When the adult soul-gnawing beast saw this, it quickly shouted. Be careful, everyone. The god-eating vine is going to self-destruct. When Bing Yao heard the adult soul-eating beast's words, he remained calm and unhurried as he looked at the man-eating vine that was gathering its power. He chuckled and said, Man-eating vine, you're too slow. Why don't I help you? What do you mean by that? The tall god-eating vine asked condescendingly, its face full of confusion. It really couldn't understand why these people weren't afraid at all when they knew that it was going to self-destruct and die with them. I despise the fact that you're too slow in self-destructing, so I want to help you, Bing Yao said with a smile. After that, he quickly gathered divine power in his hand and threw it at the main trunk of the man-eating vine. In an instant, the man-eating vine was filled to the brim with the external divine power, and it was clearly beyond what it could withstand. In the blink of an eye, the man-eating vine grew several times larger, and its human face showed an extremely painful expression. Then, Bing Yao cast another barrier, covering the man-eating vine within. In an instant, everyone heard a loud bang and saw the tall man-eating vine explode violently. The thick main vine was blown into pieces, turning into fragments and falling to the ground. However, after the self-destruction, the man-eating vine did not die completely. After the self-destruction, the man-eating vine turned into a small bud and hid under the debris. It thought that it had hidden well, and no one would discover its plan. Little did it know that Lung Ruoxue and the others had long known about its actions. Hence, it was the only one who was pleased with itself and thought that its plan had succeeded. Now, it was only waiting for these abominable humans to leave, so that it could find a good place to hide. It had started cultivating again. In this way, it would have the opportunity to regain its human body. Previously, although it had thought of using the method of rebirth to cultivate again, it was reluctant to give up its many years of cultivation. Therefore, it had never had the heart to self-destruct. Now these humans had forced it to self-destruct, which could be considered as granting it a new life. Speaking of which, it should thank these humans properly. And the way it thanked them was naturally to eat them after it had recultivated. Letting these despicable humans die for him was the highest honor he could give them. As for those two little beasts, he would continue to torture them. If you want the family of 3 to be reunited, stop dreaming. The God-eating vine isn't dead yet. Don't be fooled by it. It can self-destruct and revive. Seeing that the God-eating vine's self-destruction didn't bring them any danger, the adult spirit-engulfing beast was stunned for a moment before suddenly remembering the God-eating vine's innate ability. Thus, it hurriedly reminded them. When the God-devouring vine, which was hiding under the debris, heard the adult soul-gnawing beast's words, it was so angry that it almost fainted. It couldn't help but curse in its heart. If it had known that the detestable little beast would betray it, it would have taken care of it earlier. However, it believed that those humans would not be able to find it. After all, with so many fragments buried, it would take a lot of effort for those people to find it. As long as it found an opportunity, it would escape. Chapter 1240, Nian Xue. However, before the divine devouring vine could be pleased with itself, it heard Lung Ruoxia's voice. It doesn't matter, it can't run away. The divine devouring vine is very cunning. It should be in hiding by now. It won't be easy for us to find it. If it escapes, there will be endless trouble. The adult soul-gnawing beast said worriedly. There's no need to find it. As long as we burn this place down, it won't be able to escape even if it wants to. Lung Ruoxia laughed evilly. She would not let the man-eating vines have their way, and let everyone search this place bit by bit. Therefore, she would use the simplest and most effective method, which was to burn the fragments of the man-eating vines to ashes. She did not believe that the man-eating vines would be able to escape under such circumstances. At the thought of this, Lung Ruoxia took the little fire spirit out of her bracelet. Without waiting for Lung Ruoxia's instructions, the little fire spirit started to set fire. He set fire not only to burn the man-eating vines, but also to purify the land so that it was more suitable for the growth of other plants. After all, the soil here had been almost destroyed by the man-eating vines. Other than vampire plants, other plants would definitely die here. Following the little fire spirit's flame, the fragments of the man-eating vine within the barrier were quickly burned to ashes. The man-eating vine that was hiding under the fragments endured the pain in its body, and didn't dare to make a sound. Although the flame was very powerful, it was still within the range that it could bear for the time being. After all, it had cultivated for many years, so it still had the ability to bear this. The only hope in its heart now was that the flame could be extinguished as soon as possible. Otherwise, it couldn't guarantee that it wouldn't be discovered by those hateful humans. The little fire spirit seemed to know what the man-eating vine was thinking and quickly retracted its flame. After a moment of silence, it released a slightly golden flame. The level of this flame was obviously higher than the previous one. The flame flew to the ashes, and in the blink of an eye, the ashes of the man-eating vine's fragments turned into a part of the air and evaporated instantly. He couldn't help but cry out when he was burned by the scorching flames. Arg! It hurts. It hurts so much, you damn human. I won't let you off. The struggling God-eating vine was still clamoring, but no one was moved. Little fire spirit continued to increase the fire, and gradually, the God-eating vine's voice became weaker and weaker, until it completely disappeared. However, the little fire spirit was still worried about the God-eating vine. Therefore, it decided to conduct a more thorough purification of the place. Thinking of this, it said to Lung Ruoxia and the others, "Big sister, all of you go back to your rooms. I'm going to completely purify this place." "All right, well, leave this place first and wait for you outside." After Lung Ruoxia finished speaking, she temporarily kept the house and led the group out of the mountain stream, leaving the place to the little fire spirit. Once they were outside the mountain stream, Lung Ruoxia placed the house on an empty plot of land. The group then entered the house and observed the movements in the mountain stream through the light screen. The little fire spirit in the mountain stream had already turned into a huge flame. The flame was shining with a dazzling golden light, and flickered with a heart-palpitating aura. The little fire spirit transformed into its original form and flew around the mountain stream. Wherever it went, a sea of fire would be set ablaze. All the living creatures in the mountain stream were purified. The originally dark red soil slowly revealed its original appearance as the little fire spirit's flames burned it. The air here also gradually recovered its clarity. After a long time, the little fire spirit finished its purification and transformed back into a chubby 1-year-old baby. It bounced back into the house and pounced into Lung Ruoxia's arms. "Sister, it's done." The little fire spirit asked for credit with excitement. "Reading on Maibo XNOVL. Come please. Well done." Lung Ruoxia patted the little fire spirit's head and praised it. "Little fire spirit, are you sure that the man-eating vine is dead?" Fonda asked curiously. "He can't be more dead, don't worry. It's no longer suitable for plants like man-eating vines to live there. So there shouldn't be any more blood-sucking creatures in the nightmare forest." The little fire spirit said with absolute certainty. "I don't think the god-eating vine will die so easily, so it's best to confirm it." The adult soul-eating beast suggested in a low voice. It had been poisoned by the god-eating vine for many years, so it could be said that it hated and feared the god-eating vine. The influence of the god-eating vine was deeply rooted in its heart, so it wasn't easy to make it believe that the god-eating vine was really gone. "You don't believe in my ability?" When the little fire spirit heard the adult soul-gnawing beast's words, it pouted its little mouth and said unhappily, "No, I just wanted you to confirm it. The divine devouring vine is very cunning, and I'm afraid it will trick us." The adult soul-gnawing beast said carefully. Facing the aggressive little fire spirit, it felt nervous for some reason. "All right then. Big sister, since this little soul-gnawing beast is so afraid of the man-eating vines, I'll have to trouble you to purify it again." The little fire spirit said with a smile. "Aye. All right." Lung Ruoxia nodded in response. She then released a small flame and allowed it to fly out of the house. The adult soul-gnawing beast looked at the smug little flame with question marks all over its face. It could not help but guess in its heart, where was this little flame going? Why did he run out by himself? However, when it saw what the little flame did through the light screen, it was so shocked that it couldn't speak. Oh my God! That little flame was really too terrifying. Such a small flame could actually release such a great power. In just a moment, the entire mountain stream had turned into a sea of fire. Moreover, the temperature of the flame was several times higher than the golden flame released by the little fire spirit. This time, the mountain stream was completely clean, without a trace of impurities. Furthermore, after being purified by Lung Ruoxia's flames, the air in the mountain stream was fresher than anywhere else in the forest. The concentration of spiritual energy had also increased by quite a bit. This place had suddenly turned from a filthy place to the most suitable place to live. Many young plants were growing at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. When everyone saw this, their eyes widened in disbelief. No one had expected that Lung Ruoxia's flames could actually promote the growth of plants. This was too unbelievable. Lung Ruoxia could tell what they were thinking, but she didn't bother explaining. In reality, it wasn't her flames that could promote the growth of plants. It was the place that had undergone some evolution after being purified by her flames. Hence, the growth rate of the plants had also increased. Chapter 1241, Year 2. After settling the matter of the man-eating vines, Lung Ruoxia and the rest returned to their residence. Naturally, the mother and son soul-eating beast followed them back to their residence. The adult soul-gnawing beast told Lung Ruoxia that its name was Yuqing. According to Yuqing, this name was given to it by little Xiao's father, who was also the brother fan it was referring to. As for Xiao's father, he wasn't a soul-gnawing beast, but an extremely rare plant. When the two of them met and fell in love, it caused the jealousy of the god-devouring vine, which had always loved Xiao's father. The god-devouring vine was cunning by nature, and used Xiao's pregnant body as bait. Xiao's father was controlled by the god-devouring vine, and in the end, in order to save the mother and son, he was killed by the god-devouring vine, and became its food. However, even so, the mother and son still couldn't escape the god-eating vine's pursuit. After it laid an egg in advance, it hid Xiao, who was not yet born. It threw itself into the trap and became the god-eating vine's exclusive domain. It was because of this that Xiao Xiao was able to escape. As for what happened after that, even if Yu Qing didn't explain it clearly, Leng Ruoxue and the rest understood. After that, Leng Ruoxue instructed Feng De to arrange a place for Yu Qing to stay and recuperate. As for where Yu Qing and her son wanted to go after they recovered, it was up to them. After all, she didn't think that Yu Qing and her son would want to stay in this forest. This place had bad memories for them. Half a month later, the Moon Eye's injuries had already been more or less healed, and its strength had also recovered. Its true strength was that of a Class 3 sacred beast. Leng Ruoxue looked at the large and small child standing in front of her. Their snow-white and glossy fur proved that their moon eyes had fully recovered. At this moment, this mother and son were here to thank her. Miss Leng, thank you for saving my life. If it wasn't for you guys, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to see Xiao Xiao in this lifetime. Yu Qing looked at Xiao Xiao with tears in her beautiful eyes and said gently, "You're welcome. We all like Xiao Xiao very much and you're its mother. Saving you was as easy as lifting a finger. Moreover, this is my territory now. I won't allow dangerous plants like the man-eating vines to exist." Leng Ruoxue replied honestly, "No matter what, you guys saved my life. I should thank you." The Moon Eye said stubbornly. It didn't like to owe others favors, but now it seemed that it couldn't pay off the favor it owed this human. Not only did he help it take care of Xiao Xiao, but he even saved it. If it didn't repay such a great favor, it would feel guilty. "Oh, how do you want to thank us?" Leng Ruoxue chuckled as she teased. "I'm willing to recognize you as my master and follow you forever." The Moon Eye thought for a moment. This was the only method it could think of at the moment. The soul-gnawing beast's talent was extremely heaven-defying, so it believed that it would be of use to Leng Ruoxue. "Are you sure? As far as I know, there aren't many soul-gnawing beasts, and they're all very proud. If you acknowledge a human as your master, how are you going to explain it to your own clan? Will they agree to it?" Leng Ruoxue indifferently reminded. Reading on Maibo XNOVL. Please. We soul-gnawing beasts know how to repay kindness. If they knew that you've done us a favor, they would agree. Yu Qing said with certainty after thinking for a moment. "All right then, you can recognize me as your master." Leng Ruoxue nodded. There was no reason for her to reject a precious beast that was willing to offer itself to her. Furthermore, the soul-gnawing beast was indeed very useful to them. Moreover, everyone liked Xiao Xiao, so she naturally went with the flow and agreed. After that, Yu Qing and her son acknowledged Leng Ruoxue as their master, and became a part of Leng Ruoxue's family. After Ziyu found out that Yu Qing and her son had already acknowledged her as their master, she pestered Leng Ruoxue to do so. Leng Ruoxue didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After all, in her heart, Ziyu was different from Beastie. Although he was a half-orc, she had always treated Ziyu as a human. A human wanting to sign a soul contract with her was a strange feeling. However, in the end, Ziyu still got her way, because Ziyu had actually learned to act first and report later, taking the initiative to acknowledge her as her master. In the days that followed, Leng Ruoxue split Feng De and the rest into 3 groups and sent them out. The purpose of sending them out was naturally to allow them to gain more experience in the god world. As for Leng Ruoxue herself, she looked at the empty house and chose to enter closed-door cultivation with the demon, leaving the house to Yu Qing and Ziyu. Master Ning and the Great Elder went back to the divine world for the time being. After all, they had been out for a long time, and they couldn't stay on the divine land forever. They had to go back to the divine world to take a look. Bing Yao went with them, ready to find out where her junior brother was. However, no one had expected that this farewell would actually last for 3 years. 3 years later, Yu Qing and Ziyu were sitting together in the garden, watching Xiao Xiao play happily not far away. Although Xiao Xiao was still an infant in terms of the age of the soul-gnawing beast, it was close to maturity after consuming so many spirit fruits and elixirs from Leng Ruoxue. Xiao Xiao was tired from playing, so she laid on Yu Jing's legs to rest. However, her big, watery eyes could not help but steal glances at Leng Ruoxue's tightly shut room. "Why hasn't Big Sister come out yet? I'm starting to miss her." Xiao Xiao pouted and complained. Other than its mother, the only one accompanying it at home was Uncle Ziyu. It had been so long, but the others had not returned. Master is in seclusion. Xiao be good. Otherwise, Master won't like you anymore when he comes out. Yuqing threatened. In the past 3 years, whenever Xiao was disobedient, she would use her master to scare Xiao. And it worked every time. I've always been a good girl. Xiao said with a little grievance. Mommy always bullies me and even uses big sister to threaten me. In fact, it knows very well that it's so cute. How can big sister not like it? At the side, Ziyu listened to the conversation between the mother and son, and couldn't help but smile a little. However, the young miss and the others had indeed not appeared for a long time, and he was somewhat missing them. In the past 3 years, the young miss and Commander Yi had been in seclusion. Although Fengde and the others often sent back news, they had not returned for 3 years. Chapter 1242, Year 3. Recently, the news that Fengde and the others sent back was getting less and less. He didn't know the reason. When he thought about it, he couldn't help but worry. Although the divine continent was much safer than the divine world, it was still dangerous. He hoped that he was overthinking. Ziyu, are you worried about Fengde and the others? Yuqing looked at Ziyu, who had suddenly become depressed, and asked. Yup. It's been a month since they've sent back any news. This is a little abnormal. Ziyu expressed her concern. In fact, even though Fengde and the others were away from home, they would send back news every 10 days. Sometimes, they would talk about their adventures, and sometimes, they would report the situation in the divine land. It was abnormal for there to be no news for a month. They had split into 3 teams and went in different directions. Why did they stop sending messages at the same time? He really couldn't figure it out. Are you thinking too much? I think you should believe in their strength. Master will not let them be in danger. The Moon Eye consoled. I hope I'm just overthinking. Ziyu said with a sigh. What are you overthinking? All of a sudden, a gentle female voice entered the ears of the 2 humans and 1 beast. 3 pairs of eyes immediately turned towards the direction of the voice, and saw Lung Ruoxue, and the demon looking at them from a distance with a smile. Miss, Master, Sister, Ziyu, Yuqing, and Xiao shouted in unison. Then, they saw a flash of white lightning flying towards Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue gently caressed Xiao, who had pounced into her arms. She smiled faintly at Yuqing and Ziyu and said, What happened? Miss, it's like this. Fengde and the others have not sent back any news for a month, so I'm a little worried about their safety. Ziyu explained. He knew that this kind of thing couldn't be hidden from the young miss. Since she had already come out of seclusion, she would naturally know about this. Oh, don't worry, their lives won't be in danger. Perhaps something delayed them. Lung Ruoxue smiled as she consoled them. Before she sent Fengde and the rest out, she had specially left behind their jade slips of life. Now that the jade slips were intact, it meant that they were still safe. That's good. Ziyu nodded. He looked at his young lattice cultivation and realized that Lung Ruoxue was still an advanced beginner deity. He couldn't help but feel a little strange. Reading on Maibo Xn OVL. Come please. Miss had been in seclusion for 3 years. Could it be that she still hadn't broken through? He couldn't help but guess. You guys wait for me, I'll advance first. Lung Ruoxue, who knew what Ziyu was thinking, laughed evilly. After 3 years of closed-door cultivation, she could have advanced a long time ago. However, the spiritual energy in the bracelet was too rich, so she absorbed it a little too much and forgot herself. Moreover, after she was able to advance, she refined a lot of medicinal pills in the space. Therefore, she only came out of the bracelet today. She had just walked into the garden with the demon when she heard Ziyu's words. Thus, after a little comfort, she had the time to advance. She found a place in the garden and sat down cross-legged. Lung Ruoxue then took out all her spiritual beasts from her bracelet and prepared to advance. Following the descent of the laws of heaven and earth, Lung Ruoxue had also advanced from early high-ranked deity to mid-ranked deity. Her spirit beasts had also advanced in rank. Bai Su Mei and Feng Zhan had advanced 2 ranks at the same time. Baisu had become a rank 6 sacred beast, and his strength was roughly equivalent to that of a god-tier master. Mei was a rank 4 sacred beast, and Fengzhan was a rank 5 sacred beast. As for the old phoenixes who had become more experienced, they had all advanced a rank and became 5th-level sacred beasts. However, they were originally the strongest, but a little white tiger like Baisu had caught up to them and surpassed them. This made them feel somewhat unhappy, but it also stimulated their fighting spirit, making them determined to work hard in cultivation and restore their former glory. As for Baby and the other beasts, because they usually didn't like to cultivate, their strength was still the lowest. Moreover, they had only advanced by 1 rank, and now they were all second-class sacred beasts. However, they were simple-minded and didn't feel that their low strength was something to be ashamed of, because they were best at group attacks. As Ziyu Yuqing and Xiao Xiao had acknowledged Leng Ruoxue as their master, Leng Ruoxue's advancement had naturally brought them endless benefits. Even though the two of them had not been able to advance, Xiao Xiao had received the greatest benefits, because Xiao Xiao had actually become an adult. However, the adult Xiao Xiao did not grow much. She was still small, but she looked cuter and more likable. After Xue had become an advanced mid-level deity, the freak had also raised his own strength to an advanced level deity. Leng Ruoxue was rather displeased with his actions. Evildoer, you're such a bully. Leng Ruoxue pouted her pink lips and said with a hint of dissatisfaction. She had been trying her best to catch up to the evildoer, but who knew that the evildoer was still an entire level higher than her? Xue, I can only protect you if I am stronger than you. My current strength is considered high in the divine mainland. Unless it's someone from the divine realm, I don't think anyone would dare to have any ideas about you. The demon hugged Xue in his arms and explained calmly. Oh, do you think that there's still someone who would dare to have designs on me? Leng Ruoxue raised her brows slightly and asked indifferently. 3 years ago, she had shown her might to the Yao family, causing many powers to fear them like a tiger. They couldn't even wait to hide, so who else would dare to court death? Therefore, she deeply believed that this was clearly the evil male chauvinist's act. In fact, she didn't mind protecting this evil man. Hee. Then I'm afraid that someone will have ideas about me. This should be fine, right? The demon said helplessly. Yes, beauty. Don't be afraid. I'll protect you. Leng Ruoxue caressed her beautiful face as she ate her tofu. Xue, is my soft tofu delicious? The demon asked with a smile. It's passable. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. Just passable? That won't do. I have to make you satisfied. After the demon finished speaking, he picked up Xue by the waist and went straight back to his room. Seeing her devilish big brother carry her big sister away, Xiaoxiao's face was full of question marks. She asked in confusion. What's devilish big brother doing hugging big sister? They've gone to play. Yuqing said with a red face. Play? I want to go play too. Xiao Xiao said immediately when she heard that there was fun. You can't go. It's not suitable for children. Yuqing was very embarrassed and tried to stop him. Although Xiao Xiao was already considered an adult, it was still a child in terms of mentality. Therefore, it was not appropriate to let it know about these adult matters. She couldn't help but think to herself. Actually, she was overthinking things. The reason why the evildoer and Leng Ruoxue went back to their room was not what she had thought. At least, it was not as deep as she had thought. In the room, the demon sat by the bed and put Leng Ruoxue down. He then carried her to sit on his lap and said teasingly, Xue, they must be thinking nonsense now. That's also because you gave them the chance to let their thoughts run wild. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Ha. How could I? It's obvious that they have impure thoughts. In fact, we are very rule-abiding. The demon laughed evilly. All right then. What's your purpose in carrying me into the room? You rule-abiding demon. Leng Ruoxue asked knowingly. I also want to take advantage of you, but I don't want to be seen by others. After the evildoer finished speaking, he immediately kissed Leng Ruoxue's alluring pink lips. When they left the room again, it was already 2 hours later. Such a long time had further confirmed Yuqing's guess, so she looked at the two of them with an ambiguous gaze. However, Leng Ruoxue and the demon didn't intend to explain anything. After all, this kind of thing would only make things worse. Hence, they remained calm and didn't bother to explain. Sitting on a stone chair in the garden, Leng Ruoxue turned to Ziyu and Yu Qing and said, "We'll go down the mountain in a while." When the two of them heard Leng Ruoxue's words, they were stunned and looked at her in confusion. In the end, it was Ziyu who could not help but ask, "Miss, where are we going?" "Go to Yanbei City and find Yan Kuan." It had been 3 years since they last met, and she wondered what Yanbei City looked like now. Although the 5 small cities surrounding the Nightmare Forest were not big, they could be seen as her eyes. She had previously instructed Yan Kuan to pay attention to the collection of information from various parties on the continent. Therefore, regarding the matter of Feng De and the others breaking off contact, she might be able to get some clues from Yan Kuan. "Miss, should we go too?" Ziyu asked with some uncertainty. "What's wrong? You don't want to leave the mountain?" Leng Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. For the past 3 years, Ziyu and Yu Qing had been taking on the role of a housekeeper. She thought that the two of them had gotten tired of it and wanted to go out for a walk. Could she have been wrong? Don't we need to leave someone to look after the house?" Ziyu asked. "No need, there's a defensive formation, outsiders can't get in," Leng Ruoxue said confidently. "If someone really barged in, they would only be met with death. Then let's go and pack up," Ziyu and Yu Qing hurriedly said as they stood up and walked towards their respective rooms. After a short while, the two of them came back with some embarrassment. They had forgotten that their things were all in their storage rings, so there was no need to pack. Let's go." Leng Ruoxue moved all the beasts lying in the garden into her bangle, and smiled at the two who were blushing in embarrassment. After that, the 4 of them, along with Xiao Xiao, who was in Yu Jing's arms, went down the mountain and out of the Nightmare Forest, heading straight for Yanbei City. Yanbei City, which she had not been to for 3 years, was even more prosperous than she had imagined. The number of people on the streets was almost double that of the last time she had been here. Furthermore, every inn was packed to the brim. Seeing the good business of each shop, Leng Ruoxue felt happy for them from the bottom of her heart. After all, these people who lived here were the citizens of her territory. Therefore, she naturally hoped to see them lead a rich life. This way, their sense of belonging to Yanbei City would be even stronger. They would also consciously protect the reputation of Northern Yan City. After observing for a while on the streets, Leng Ruoxue, the 4 humans and 1 beast headed straight for the city lord's residence. Chapter 1243. Nian Xue Mountain 1. When they arrived at the city lord's mansion, the moment the housekeeper saw Leng Ruoxue and the rest, he immediately invited them into the living room with great respect. Although he had only taken up this position 3 years ago, he had followed the city lord into the mountains a few times. Hence, he was very clear about the mastermind behind the scenes. Furthermore, the city lord had repeatedly reminded him to treat Leng Ruoxue and the others with a good attitude, and not to show any disrespect. "Is the city lord in the mansion?" Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile as she followed the butler into the garden of the city lord's mansion. "Yes, but the city lord is discussing something with his aides. I'm afraid Miss Leng will have to wait for a while. If Miss Leng is in a hurry to see the city lord, I'll go and report it now." The butler hesitated before asking Leng Ruoxue, "I'm not in a hurry. Let him come to see me after he's finished discussing things." Leng Ruoxue said with a smile, "Yes, Miss Leng. The city lord has specially prepared this residence for you. Are you satisfied with it?" After the butler brought Leng Ruoxue and the rest to their residence, he asked carefully. The city lord had been to the mountain several times, so he paid special attention to the appearance of the Leng family's main residence. Therefore, after he came back, he ordered the skilled craftsmen to build the Fallen Swallow residence according to the layout of the Leng family's residence. Of course, there were still some differences between this place and the Leng family's main residence, but they were generally similar. "I'm very satisfied. Your city lord is very thoughtful." Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes casually swept across as she smiled. "It's good that Miss Leng is satisfied. If there's nothing else, I won't disturb Miss Leng any further. If you have any needs, you can inform the guards outside the Fallen Swallow residence. They will serve you." The butler reminded them and left the house. He knew that Leng Ruoxue and the rest did not like to be disturbed, so he did not ask the servants to stay. Ziyu Yuqing, find your own rooms. Leng Ruoxue said as she sat down on a stone chair in the courtyard. Yes. Miss, how many days do we plan to stay here? Ziyu asked curiously. It depends on the situation. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. The 4 people and 1 beast then sat in the courtyard and chatted. After a while, they saw Yan Kuan running in from outside. Master, you're here. Seeing Leng Ruoxue and the rest, Yan Kuan was excited. We've finished our discussion. Leng Ruoxue chuckled as she asked. Reading on MyBox and OVL. Com, please. Yes, I didn't know that Master was coming, so I was delayed by other matters. I hope Master can forgive me. Yan Kuan said in a reverent manner. It's okay, Yan Kuan. Since you've recognized me as your master, I won't treat you as an outsider. So in front of me, you can be as casual as Fengde and the others. Leng Ruoxue reminded him. She could see Yan Kun's restraint. She had always been tolerant of her subordinates. Therefore, she naturally did not want a person who was cautious in everything in front of her. Yes, master. Yan Kuan nodded in response. Then he asked curiously, hasn't Master been in seclusion? May I know why you're coming down the mountain? Yan Kuan, Fengde and the others haven't sent back any news for a month. That's why I came to you. I want to know if there's anything important happening on the continent recently. Leng Ruoxue asked directly. Master, Fengde and the others haven't sent back any news for a month. They might have been delayed by something. As for the important matter, I heard that a secret realm has appeared in the ancient snow mountain. Many people have gone there to explore, but we can't confirm whether the news is true or not. Yan Kuan said after thinking for a while. When Fengde and the others left the Nightmare Forest to train, his son Yan Tao had also followed them. Therefore, he was very concerned about the whereabouts of Fengde and the others. However, Yan Tao's life jade slip was still intact, so he believed that everyone should have been entangled by something. A secret realm has appeared in the 10,000-year snow mountain? When did this happen? Leng Ruoxue asked with a slight frown. About a month ago, the appearance of this secret realm was very sudden. It was spread from a small force. So as soon as the news was spread, many forces rushed there. But what is it like there? No one knows if it's dangerous or not. Yan Kuan told him everything he knew. It's been a month. No one knows what it looks like there? Leng Ruoxue asked uncertainly. This was too unbelievable. According to common sense, the news should have been sent back to the major forces after such a long time. How could no one know about the situation there? No one knows. According to the information I've received, none of the forces that went in to explore have come out of the secret realm so far. Therefore, there is naturally no news back. Yan Kuan explained. Master, do you think Fengde and the others have gone to the 10,000 years old snow mountain? Yan Kuan asked after thinking for a while. Miss Fengde and the others said that they wanted to go to the snow mountain. So, they are most likely in the secret realm. Ziyu suddenly remembered that Fengde had once sent back a message saying that when the weather was warmer, he wanted to go to the 10,000 years old snow mountain to take a look. However, at that time he had clearly told Fengde and the others not to go there. With their strength, they wouldn't be able to last a few days there. Now that she thought about it, Fengde and the others didn't take his words to heart at all. Or they were attracted by the secret realm that had appeared out of thin air. Oh. Yan Kuan, don't the other powers have any information about that secret realm? Leng Ruoxue confirmed. No, the Ning family and Qi family contacted me a few days ago to ask about the situation of the Snowy Mountain secret realm. It seems that they know nothing about it. Yan Kuan said. Did they send people to the Snowy Mountain secret realm? Leng Ruoxue asked again. Yes, Ning Xue was the one who led the group to the Ning family, while Qi Rui was the one who led the group to the Qi family. Yan Kuan quickly said. Qi Rui also went. What is this Qi family head trying to do? Leng Ruoxue couldn't understand. Qi Rui was the young master of the Qi clan on the godly mainland. He was also the future clan head of the Qi clan's bloodline. The Qi clan's internal purge had stabilized his position. Now that an unknown secret realm had suddenly appeared, The Qi clan had actually sent him out. Weren't they afraid that something would happen to him in the secret realm? Or could it be that the Qi family had a new young master candidate, so Qi Rui had become a stumbling block and a dispensable abandoned child? Chapter 1244, Nian Xue Mountain 2. I heard that the main Qi family sent a genius to the divine mainland, so Yan Kuan didn't finish his sentence. However, he believed that his master would understand what he meant. In fact, this kind of thing was very common in big families. A genius? How much of a genius is he? Lung Ruoxua asked with a sneer. Although Qi Rui wasn't considered a genius, he was still her friend. Hence, after hearing Yan Kun's words, she felt a little unhappy. It seemed like her guess was correct. Qi Rui had indeed become someone's stumbling block. I heard that he's a direct descendant of the main family. He seems to be in his early 20s, but he's already a mid-tier deity. His potential is above young Master Qi's, and he grew up in the divine world. Yan Kuan said. You mean that person is very favored in the main family? Lung Ruoxua said indifferently. She understood Yan Kun's meaning after hearing his words. Under normal circumstances, the divine realm was not suitable for deities below the deity realm to live in. However, there was an exception that could only be done by a hierarch. If a clan had a hierarch, then under normal circumstances, the geniuses of the clan wouldn't need to be sent to the divine mainland. They would be arranged to cultivate and live in the barrier set up by the hierarch until they reached adulthood. This way, they would also receive better guidance from their elders. Their natural status and starting point would be much higher than the average clan's descendants, and they would definitely be considered the core of the clan. If the genius of the Qi family mentioned by Yan Kuan was also such a core member, then he would be a great threat to Qi Rui. However, she still couldn't figure it out. Would the Qi family's head be willing to send a core member to become the future head of the family? Or could it be that the future head of the godly mainland was just a stepping stone for the future position of the main family's direct descendant? If that was the case, what would happen to Qi Rui? Master, I heard that he's one of the juniors that the Qi family's head likes very much. Yan Kuan said. Oh, Lung Ruoxua replied indifferently and immediately instructed. Yan Kuan, contact the Ning and Qi families for me and see what's the situation on their side. Yes. Yes, Yan Kuan replied. Then he turned around and left. After Yan Kuan left, the demon chuckled and said, Xue, are you planning to help Qi Rui? This is the Qi family's business, I won't interfere. However, if that Qi family genius wants to hurt my friend, I won't sit by and do nothing. Lung Ruoxua chuckled. Hee, it's Qi Rui's good fortune to know you. The demon said. Miss, although the Qi clan genius that Yan Kuan mentioned is a direct descendant of the Qi clan and grew up in the divine realm, this doesn't mean that he's really doted on by the Qi clan. You should know that in the super clans like the 8 great divine regions, there are many geniuses with extremely high aptitudes. True geniuses would never be willing to come to the divine mainland to be the head of the clan. There's no need to come to the godly mainland to fight for the position of head of the Qi family. So, I'm guessing that this isn't the Qi family's head's intention. Ziyu thought for a while and analyzed. And you're right. That so-called genius is probably trying to pull the tiger's skin and pull the flag. However, the Qi clan will place great importance on his identity. Lung Ruoxua understood. Otherwise, Qi Rui wouldn't have been sent to the unknown snowy mountain secret realm. Then what does Miss plan to do? Ziyu asked curiously. He had met Qi Rui a few times and had a good impression of that little fellow. So, if he could help Qi Rui, he was willing to do so. Visit myboxnovel.com to read, please. It's better if we don't interfere in other people's affairs. Otherwise, the head of the Qi family will blame us for being meddlesome. Lung Ruoxua smiled evilly and calmly. Ziyu was speechless and couldn't help but think to herself, other people might be afraid of the master of the Qi family, but you're not even afraid of the master of the Ning family, so why would you be afraid? Ha ha. Lung Ruoxua looked at Ziyu's expression and couldn't help but laugh. Miss, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Seeing that she was being teased, Ziyu pretended to be angry and said. After she finished speaking, she even turned her head. Demon, Ziyu said she's ignoring me. Lung Ruoxue tugged at the evildoer's arm and said coquettishly, "It's okay, I'm fine with you." The demon said indifferently, "You guys are so mushy." Ziyu couldn't bear to listen any longer, and immediately went back to her room to hide. When Yuqing saw this, she also stood up and left. In an instant, only Lung Ruoxue and the demon were left in the courtyard. Without the third wheel, evildoer was more than happy. After staying in the city lord's mansion for a few days, the news of the Ning and Qi families had also come back. In the living room of the Fallen Swallow residence, Yan Kuan was sitting opposite Lung Ruoxue with a respectful look on his face. He was telling her about the replies from the Ning and Qi families. "Miss, I'm sure now that there's been no news from the people the Qi and Ning families sent out. Moreover, both families want to send another group of people into the snow mountain. They wanted to ask you through me if you're interested in going with them." Yan Kuan said softly, "Oh, since they want to enter the snow mountain with me, then let's gather in Ning City." Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Peace City was the closest to the 10,000-year-old snow mountain, and the two places were in the same direction. Hence, it was the most suitable place to meet. Then I'll go and reply to the Qi family and the Ning family now. Yan Kuan left the living room after he finished speaking. 3 days later, Lung Ruoxue and the others set off for Peace City. Yan Kuan had wanted to follow them, but he was suddenly held back by many affairs in Yanbei City. He was unable to split his attention. Meanwhile, Lung Ruoxue and the rest sat on the back of the little peacock. After flying for close to 10 days, they finally arrived at their destination. The Ning family had calculated the time, so when Lung Ruoxue and the others arrived at the city gate, they met an elder of the Ning family who had come to welcome them. They followed the elder and temporarily stayed in the Ning family. In the living room of the Ning family, Ning Fei led Lung Ruoxue and the others to the main seats, while he stood in front of them respectfully, not knowing what to do. "Master Ning, what's wrong? If you have anything to say, then say it." Lung Ruoxue looked at Ning Fei, who seemed to be panicking, and asked in confusion. Chapter 1245, Nian Xue Mountain 3. Miss Lung, 3 days ago, 5 people from our Ning family died in the team that went to the 10,000-year snow mountain. 2 of them were our Ning family's elders. Ning Fei said gloomily. He had been depressed about this for a few days. However, he believed that Lung Ruoxue and the others did not know about this news. "What about the Qi clan?" Lung Ruoxue asked calmly. "The Qi family lost more people than our Ning family, and I heard that all the major forces have also suffered casualties. However, no one knows how they died." Ning Fei said with a gloomy face. "Oh, what's Master Ning's plan?" Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. "I don't know. I'll listen to Miss Lung's arrangements." Ning Fei said helplessly. He had planned to send another group of people to the snow mountain, and he had already decided who to send. However, since they knew that going to the snow mountain would be life-threatening, those people had all come up with all kinds of excuses to avoid it. Even the elder who had planned to go to the snow mountain had started to pretend to be sick, which made him very annoyed. "I will definitely go to the snow mountain. If you still want to go, then come with us. If you don't want to go, I won't force you." Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes swept across the other elders present, as she spoke indifferently. "Miss Lung, if we can't get away, can you take care of the rest of the Ning family after you go to the snow mountain?" At this time, an elder couldn't help but speak up. He was one of the elders who was supposed to go this time. However, after knowing that all the major forces had suffered losses, they didn't really want to go. "Humph. Do you think my master is your Ning family's free bodyguard? If you want to save the Ning family, you'll have to do it yourself. Otherwise, even if the Ning family all die, it's not my master's business." When Yuqing heard the elder's words, he sneered. "Humph. A human as timid as a mouse, and the Ning family of the 8 great divine regions. If she were Master Ning, she would have strangled them to death if she knew that there were such people in the Ning family who were afraid of death. It was a waste of food to keep them alive. How can it not be your master's business? She's the goddaughter of our family's ancestor, so our Ning family's matters are naturally her matters." The elder quibbled. "Oh really? Do you dare to say this in front of your Ning family's old ancestor? If he has the same thoughts as you, then I really feel bad for my master. Yu Qing said in disdain. Although Master had recognized a godfather, she had never thought that she would get any benefits from Master Ning, and Master Ning naturally had never thought of using her master as a fighter. Therefore the Ning family had thought too much. Master Ning was Master Ning, and their Ning family was the Ning family. There was no relationship at all. If there was really something, Master could take care of it. However, if the Ning family took it for granted, she would be the first one to disagree. Hearing Yu Qing's aggressive words, the elder didn't dare to say anything more. Ning Fei also knew that his elder's words were a bit too much, so he couldn't help but apologize. Miss Lung, I'm sorry. The 11th elder was a little impatient, so he spoke without thinking. Please don't take it to heart. Our Ning family will still send people to go with you to the snow mountain. Yes, Miss Lung. I'll personally lead the team for the Ning family this time. The Ning family's grand elder, who had been silent the entire time, spoke. As soon as the first elder said that, all the Nings were surprised. None of them had thought that the first elder would go there in person. It was all because of the first elder's support that Ning Fei could be the master of the Nings. If the first elder was in the snow mountain, then the Nings would be in chaos again. However, the people of the Ning family only dared to think this in their hearts. No one dared to say it out loud. Great elder, I'll go. You stay in the Ning family. Ning Fei quickly said after hearing first elder's words. First elder's prestige in the Ning family was much higher than his, so he could not let first elder take the risk. I'm already so old, and you, a junior, still want to compete with me? Can't you let me go out and see the world? There weren't many opportunities to explore like this. You guys have to grasp this opportunity. The great elder said to the Ning family present with a smile, implying that someone would go with him. In the end, the facts proved that the great elder was smart and insidious. The people of the Ning family that he took with him to the snow mountain all had some opinions about Ning Fei, and they even didn't want him to be the master of the family. After he took these people away, even if he had an accident in the snow mountain, these people would probably not come back alive. In this way, Ning Fei's position as the master of the family was naturally stable. After that, the Qi clan's group arrived. Unfortunately, the Qi clan's leader was the genius from the main family that Yin Kuan had mentioned. The Qi family's genius was in his early 20s. He was very handsome, but the arrogance on his face was very annoying. The subordinates and beautiful maidservants that followed him around almost made Lung Ruoxue, and the others think that this young master was going to the snow mountain for a holiday. After the three teams met up, they went together to the 10,000-year-old snow mountain not far from Ning City. Out of the three families, Lung Ruoxue had brought the least number of people with her. As such, the subordinates and beautiful maidservants of the Qi family's genius all looked down on them, thinking that they were a subsidiary family of the Ning family, and were riding on the Ning family's coattails. Thus, they looked at them with contempt. The Ning family knew Lung Ruoxue's low-profile character well, so naturally, no one would explain for her. Similarly, most of the Qi family members who had followed the Qi family's genius to the snowy mountain were not very clear about the identity of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Hence, they were the most unremarkable and the most neglected group of people. A day after they set off, in the evening, everyone chose a flat area as their camp for the night. At first, Lung Ruoxue wanted to take out her house, but seeing that the Qi clan's genius was still living in a tent, she didn't want to be too ostentatious and used a tent as well. However, she wouldn't mistreat herself when it came to food. Yu Jing and Ziyu were also fed up, and they definitely wouldn't be able to stand eating dry food. From their storage rings, Yu Qing and Ziyu took out several pots of different sizes. After placing them on the fire that had already been set up, they took out all kinds of ingredients. The two of them worked together, and soon a few hot dishes with good color, fragrance, and taste were ready. After the meal was ready, Ziyu took out a small table that could seat about 6 people, and placed the food on it. On the other hand, Yu Qing received Lung Ruoxue's orders to invite the Ning family's first elder to come and have a meal together. Thanks. After the Ning family's first elder arrived and saw the steaming hot food on the table, his face bloomed with a smile, and he praised, "Ha ha ha! Miss Lung, thanks to you, This old man is blessed to have a good meal. It's a simple meal. Please do as you wish, great elder. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Don't worry, I won't be polite with you. The first elder laughed. Then, the few of them began to eat while talking and laughing. However, they were interrupted by two uninvited guests after just a few mouthfuls. How dare you not invite my young master to have a meal with you? The two beautiful maidservants stood in front of Lung Ruoxue and the rest, and said angrily, "Why should we invite your young master here for a meal?" Lung Ruoxue was so angry that she laughed. However, she still did not raise her head and focused on eating the food on her plate. The others did the same. It was obvious that none of them cared about these two maidservants, and there was no need for them to care. My young master is a direct descendant of the Qi family. It's your honor to be able to invite him to have a meal with you. The maidservant said angrily. Oh really? How come I didn't know that it's my honor to treat a direct descendant of the 8 divine domains to a meal? My status isn't that low, okay? Lung Ruoxue mocked. Even if the Qi family's head came personally, she didn't have to treat him to a meal, let alone a direct descendant of the 8 great divine regions. What do you mean by this? You dare to look down on my young master? You're really bold. When one of the maidservants heard Lung Ruoxue's words, she was so angry that she shouted, "That's right. Why don't you take a look at your status? If my young master is willing to eat with you, you should be snickering. Yet you still dare to despise my young master. Our Qi clan will never let you off." The other maidservant also roared. "I really don't know who I am, but I'm sure that no matter how capable and powerful your young master is, he can't control me." Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. "You." The maidservant wanted to say something but was interrupted. "How dare you? I've really spoiled you all. Who allowed you to be so rude to Miss Lung?" At this moment, the Qi family's genius walked over with an apologetic expression. "Young master, we just can't stand it. Your status and identity are the highest among all of us. How could they neglect you like this?" The maidservant said with an aggrieved expression after being lectured. "This is a barren mountain. Let's just talk about friendship. What identity and status? Have you all forgotten what I told you before we left?" The Qi clan genius asked unhappily. "Young master, we were wrong." The two maidservants quickly admitted their mistake. "Then hurry up and apologize to Miss Lung and the others," the Qi family genius ordered. "I'm sorry," the two maidservants said unwillingly. "It doesn't matter, I won't argue with two servants," Lung Ruoxue said magnanimously. However, the word servant from her mouth infuriated the two snobbish beautiful maidservants. "Who are you calling a servant? We're not servants, we're young master's people," one of the beautiful maidservants shouted with some anger. "Oh, since you're young master Kai's people, then please take good care of your people. I won't be seeing you out," Lung Ruoxue said lightly, and at the same time, asked him to leave. "I'm sorry to disturb you." The Qi family genius suppressed his anger and said politely. Then he bowed slightly and left with his men. Over the next few days, under the restraint of the genius from the Qi family, no one dared to cause trouble for Lung Ruoxue and the others. However, the subordinates and beautiful maidservants of the genius would often secretly glare at Lung Ruoxue and the others with hatred. "Master, we're being stared at again," Yu Qing complained in a low voice. "Oh, I thought you'd already gotten used to it." Lung Ruoxue chuckled. "Miss, we've arrived at the snow mountain." At this moment, Ziyu, who was sitting on the little peacock's back, also pointed at the tall snowy mountain. Chapter 1246. The Snow Fox That Descended from the Sky 1. Lung Ruoxue lifted her beautiful eyes and looked at the tall and majestic snow mountain in front of her. Her heart was filled with excitement. This snow mountain was simply too beautiful. As far as the eye could see, it was a vast expanse of white. Although it was extremely cold, it was also extremely clean. The air in the snow mountain was also exceptionally fresh. Even though they were not in the snow mountain, they could feel the refreshing aura. After the little peacock landed near the snow mountain, it took the initiative to enter the bracelet. It really did not like such cold weather. However, Xiao Xiao, who was in Yuqing's arms, liked the snow mountain very much. Its tiny figure could be seen running around on the snow, playing with it. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue moved Qiuqiu and the baby out as well. However, the two little fellows were extremely afraid of the cold. After they came out and saw such a cold place, they immediately burrowed into Leng Ruoxue's arms and refused to come out. "Sister, it's so cold here." Qiuqiu's small body shivered as it said, "A little afraid of the cold. Hee. We're already in the snow mountains, it's normal to be cold." Leng Ruoxue gently stroked Qiuqiu's soft fur and comforted it. "Qiuqiu, baby, you're not cold at all. Come down and play with me," Xiao Xiao urged. "You have thick fur, of course you don't feel cold." Bao Bao rolled her eyes at Xiao Xiao and said unhappily, "Your fur is not thin either." Xiao Xiao grumbled in a low voice and then went back to playing. When Leng Ruoxue heard the conversation between the three little fellows, she could not help but smile. Soon after, First Elder's voice rang in their ears. "Young Miss Leng, your flying beast is so fast. It's been so hard on us." "Haha. Great Elder, you guys aren't slow either." Leng Ruoxue replied politely. Actually, what she wanted to say was that the Qi family had not arrived yet. From the looks of it, that so-called Qi clan genius beastie wasn't much after all. After the Ning family landed, they met up with Leng Ruoxue and the rest. It was only after they had prepared the food at the foot of the snow mountain that the Qi family arrived. Seeing that the two teams had already prepared hot food, the beautiful maid of the Qi clan immediately became dissatisfied. "Aren't we together? Why didn't you guys wait for us?" One of the beautiful maidservants asked with a bit of anger. "Who told you we're together? We're just traveling together. Do you expect us to be like you and serve your young master together?" Leng Ruoxue laughed mockingly. Along the way, she had not been very interested in that genius young master of the Qi family. Although that genius had always wanted to get close to them, he had been rejected by them for all sorts of reasons. "But you can't just ignore my young master like this," the beautiful servant quibbled. "Thanks, ignored? We're not even close to him, so why should we ignore him? Could it be that in your eyes, this is disregard? Or do you think that everyone who sees your young master should curry favor with him?" Leng Ruoxue chuckled as she retorted, "That's right. Do you think your young master is a top-grade crystal? Everyone has to like him and cling to him." Yuqing also laughed and agreed. You will regret this. If it wasn't for my young master's protection in this snow mountain, none of you would be safe and sound." The beautiful servant reminded, "Are you threatening us? Or does your young master want to kill us in this snow mountain?" Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. "What are you talking about? My young master is not that kind of person. I mean, in this snow mountain, only my young master can protect you, so you'd better be sensible." The beautiful servant said proudly, "I'm sorry, but we can protect ourselves here. So, you can go back now." Leng Ruoxue asked him to leave indifferently. "You will regret this," the beautiful maid said angrily. After she finished speaking, she turned around and returned to her team. After returning, the beautiful servant angrily complained to the Qi clan genius. "Young master, those people are too much. They actually look down on you. If there is any danger in the snow mountain, you must not be kind enough to care for them. They will not appreciate it." The beautiful servant suggested. "Shut up. I told you not to provoke them. Did you just ignore my words?" The Qi family's genius growled when he heard the maidservant's words. However, his eyes could not help but stare in the direction of Leng Ruoxue and the others. In his entire life, this was the first time he had been completely ignored by someone, especially when it was a woman. When he was facing Leng Ruoxue, he realized that the methods he used to deal with women were all useless. This was because that woman was unmoved by force or persuasion. More importantly, there was an even more irksome man by her side, and this also aroused his competitive spirit. Moreover, he was a person who liked to seize opportunities. That was why he had been quietly observing Leng Ruoxue and the others. Now was not the time for him to make a move, so he would not go and ask for a rebuff. However, these two foolish maidservants were always ruining his plans. A woman's jealousy was truly terrifying. "Young master, The maidservant's beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she looked at her young master with an aggrieved expression. As her young master's personal maidservant, she knew very well what her young master liked. It was because of this that she felt a sense of crisis and wanted to show that she was different in front of her young master. At the same time, she also knew very well that this would anger her young master. However, she knew very well that her young master would be tender and protective towards women. Therefore, she believed that as long as she cried a few times, her young master would not hold it against her. Unfortunately, she had guessed wrong this time. The Qi clan genius did not feel any heartache when he saw the maidservant's tear-stained face. In fact, he was even a little upset. He waved his hand and growled as if he was chasing away a fly. "Get lost! Get out of my sight! I don't want to see you now. Young master!" The beautiful maidservant's face was filled with disbelief. However, when she saw her young master's serious expression, she did not dare to not turn around and leave. Yu Qing, who was not far away, saw the Qi clan's group and laughed softly at Leng Ruoxia. "Miss, is this considered coaxing by the Qi family?" "Of course not, it's not a big deal. That young master Qi knows how to treat women tenderly. He might go and coax them later." Leng Ruoxia understood. In her previous life, she had seen many men like this. Hence, she was very clear about young Master Kai's personality. Chapter 1247. The Snow Fox That Descended from the Sky, 2. Just as she had expected, when they saw the maidservant the next day, the maidservant's face was filled with shyness and she even glared at them with a slight provocation. Unfortunately, no one would take the provocation of a maidservant seriously. After a night's rest at the foot of the mountain, the three teams entered the mountain the next morning. Originally, the three teams had been living in peace. However, after they encountered two forks, they split up. "Miss Lung, there are two roads here. Why don't we take the right one?" The Qi family genius suggested. "Young Master Qi is interested in the right path, but I want to take the left path. We can't agree on this. What should we do?" Leng Ruoxia pretended to be in a difficult position. "Of course I'll listen to my young master." Before the Qi clan genius could speak, the beautiful maid beside him spoke first. "Why should I?" Leng Ruoxia raised her brows and asked with a faint smile. "With my young master's identity and status, you all should listen to him." The beautiful servant said with a matter-of-fact expression, her proud tail almost raised. "It's a pity that this isn't the Qi family, so your young master's identity and status are useless to me." Leng Ruoxia scoffed. "Don't regret it if you don't listen to my master." The beautiful maidservant warned. In fact, she couldn't wait for Leng Ruoxia and the others to part ways with them. He didn't want to be scolded by young master. "Young Master Qi, in that case, let's part ways here. I wish you all good luck." Leng Ruoxia ignored the servant girl and spoke to the Qi clan's genius. "Miss Leng, don't be so impulsive. Let's go together. It'll be dangerous for you to go alone." The Qi clan genius urged. "It's okay, we're not afraid of danger." Leng Ruoxia said disapprovingly. "Ha ha ha. Don't worry, young Master Qi, Miss Leng will not be in danger. Our Ning family will go with them." At this time, the first elder who had been silent the whole time finally spoke. "You guys want to go with them? Do you want to die too?" When the maidservant heard the Ning family's first elder's words, she said in disbelief. He didn't listen to her young master, and instead wanted to go with a woman with no status or position. In her eyes, this was simply inconceivable. It should be known that her young master had a secret weapon and knew where the safest place to go was. Therefore, when she heard the Ning family's first elder's words, her reaction was so big. "Little girl, we didn't come to the snow mountain to play, so it's normal for there to be danger. How can you say that we're courting death? No one would want to die if they could live." In fact, he didn't really like the way young Master Qi did things. Moreover, along the way, he had seen the hostility these two beautiful maidservants had towards Leng Ruoxia. Moreover, Leng Ruoxia had a special relationship with the Ning family, so he naturally had no reason to help an outsider. "Only by going with my family's young master will the danger be the least. If your Ning family goes with them, if something unexpected happens, don't regret it. The beautiful servant said with some schadenfreude. Thanks, what are you saying, little girl? Are you cursing us? Before the great elder could speak, an elder of the Ning family who could not stand it spoke first. I'm just reminding you out of good intentions, but you don't appreciate it. Young master, let's go quickly. Once we've figured out the truth, we can report to the main family as soon as possible. The beautiful maid turned her head and said to her young master. The Qi clan genius pondered for a moment before nodding. It was indeed very important for him to figure out the truth. After all, this was related to his future and status in the clan. Therefore, he could not take it lightly. Miss Lung, first elder Ning, since you've made up your mind, I won't force you. Let's part ways here. We'll meet again. Qi clan's genius bowed slightly and led the Qi clan members to the right. First elder looked at the Qi family's back view and smiled at Lung Ruoxue. Miss Lung, shall we set off? Let's go. Lung Ruoxue nodded and led the group to the left. Along the way, Lung Ruoxue and the rest discovered many herbs suitable for growing in the snow. These herbs were what she urgently needed at the moment. Hence, when she saw the herbs, Lung Ruoxue bent down and picked them without hesitation. Seeing this, Ziyu and Yuqing also quickly lowered their bodies and helped to pick. When the Ning family's first elder saw this situation, he also ordered everyone in the Ning family to help. He could tell that Lung Ruoxue would not continue on her journey until she finished gathering all the herbs she came across. Just like that, after parting ways with the Qi clan, they spent the first day picking herbs. At night, when the Ning family's first elder and the others were preparing to set up their tents, they saw Lung Ruoxue take out an exquisite and small house and place it on the snow. The Ning family watched as the house grew in size in an instant, and they were all stunned. Everyone from the Ning family was shocked. Although they had never seen such a spatial divine weapon before, they had seen it before. Hence, they would not be so ignorant as to think that Lung Ruoxue had only taken out a toy. Miss Lung, I didn't expect you to have such a divine weapon. The great elder said with an envious expression. Not everyone could possess such a divine tool. Even if one had money, one might not be able to buy it. This is a gift from the Armament Guild headquarters, great elder. Everyone can stay here tonight. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Hehe. That's great. I thought we'd have to spend the night in this world of ice and snow. I really didn't think that I would have the chance to stay in this rare divine artifact. The first elder said happily. Haha, Miss Lung. We'll have to rely on you today. If the Qi family knows that we actually have a house to live in, I wonder if they'll regret it to death. An elder of the Ning family said with excitement. That young Master Qi will have a way. We don't need to worry about the Qi family. Let's go in quickly. The snow mountain at night is very cold. Lung Ruoxue reminded. Chapter 1248. The Snow Fox That Descended from the Sky 3. Right. Hurry up and go into the room, it's freezing outside. Everyone from the Ning family quickly said. Then everyone entered the house together. The snowy mountain was covered in ice and snow, and it was extremely cold. However, it was a different scene inside the house. Everyone in the Ning family was like a grandmother in a grand view garden, looking around curiously and constantly praising. This place is really too beautiful. The 4 seasons are like spring, and the spiritual qi is rich, hehe. If I can stay here for a lifetime, I'll die without any regrets. Look at you, you should be thinking that if I can also have such a divine artifact, then I can die without any regrets. Someone immediately said in disdain. Your way of thinking is daydreaming. Can money buy such a divine weapon? The person who was lamenting earlier immediately retorted sarcastically. The two of them actually started arguing in front of Lung Ruoxue and the others, not caring about their image. All of you shut up. The Ning family's face has been completely lost by you. Hearing their words, the Ning family's first elder's face darkened, and he couldn't help but shout. When the two people who were arguing saw the great elder's might, they quickly shut their mouths and didn't dare to make a sound. Then, the Ning family's first elder said to Lung Ruoxue awkwardly, I'm sorry, I've embarrassed myself in front of Miss Lung, hehe. It doesn't matter, You guys can do as you please. Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly. With her godfather's reputation, she would naturally not exclude the Ning family completely. The reason she took out this house was so that everyone could live here, even though their reaction was a little unexpected. Hee. Then we won't be polite. The Ning family's first elder said with a smile. You're welcome, Lung Ruoxue said, then instructed Ziyu to arrange rooms for the Ning family. After dinner, the Ning family's first elder specially came to look for Lung Ruoxue and the others. He sat down in the garden and started chatting with them. Young Lady Lung, that young Master Qi wanted us to go with him. He probably has some sort of confidence that that path would be relatively safer. The reason you chose the opposite path, is it because you don't want to go with them? The Ning family's first elder leisurely sipped the tea in his hand and asked with a gossipy expression. Of course not. Great elder should have heard of the saying wealth is found in danger. The path I've chosen seems dangerous, but it's not dangerous. The path young Master Qi has chosen, although it looks calm on the surface, who knows the hidden dangers? I might as well tell you clearly that the Snow Mountain secret realm is at the end of that road. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Art. Then why don't we take that path? Aren't we going to the Snowy Mountain secret realm? The first elder had a face full of question marks. However, he wouldn't ask Lung Ruoxue why she was so certain. After all, who in this world didn't have their own secrets and methods? Hence, he only had to follow the footsteps of Lung Ruoxue and the rest. Because I want a snow fox, and am also picking some snow lotuses from the snow mountain. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Miss Lung, am not that gullible, am I? You must have your reasons for doing this, I understand. The great elder said with a look of understanding. Great elder, am telling the truth. Lung Ruoxue's forehead was filled with black lines. She really did not know why the first elder trusted her so much. Was he not afraid that she would sell out the Ning family? Thanks so. Since Miss Lung wants a snow fox and can pick some snow lotuses at the same time, then with our help, it will definitely be a piece of cake. First elder followed Lung Ruoxue's lead and cleverly did not continue asking. After a brief chat, the great elder stood up and returned to his room. The next morning, when Lung Ruoxue and the rest walked out of their rooms, they realized that it was snowing outside. The white snow had covered the roof of their house. Moreover, through the window of the house, they could clearly see the falling snowflakes, which were the size of a baby's fist. For a moment, everyone was a little dumbfounded. Although they had lived in the divine realm for many years, none of them had ever seen such heavy snow. Is that snow outside? One of the Ning family members asked in disbelief. What else could it be if not snow? Someone replied. After that, the person even deliberately left the house. However, he was frozen back in the next second. It's so cold outside. After returning, that person hurriedly said. And he secretly sighed with lingering fear. If it wasn't for this house, they would have been frozen into ice sculptures if they had lived in tents. Furthermore, the snow had been falling for several days. Even though Lung Ruoxue and the rest were trapped in the house, they were not dejected. Instead, they enjoyed the magnificent snow scene. After nearly 10 days, the snow finally stopped. Lung Ruoxue and the rest then left the house and tried their best to clear the snow around the house. The snow was so thick that it could almost bury them. The Ning family had been living in the house for a few days now and they were much calmer. They even felt a sense of relaxation that they had never felt before. After all, they did not have to worry about the family's affairs for so many days. This was an experience that they had never experienced before. Furthermore, when they were free, the Ning family's first elder would even talk to them. Hence, when the snow stopped, Lung Ruoxue could feel that the Ning family was different. They were much more united. Of course, the first elder of the Ning family was the happiest. The Ning family would only prosper if the people of the Ning family were united. Miss Lung, now that the snow has stopped, shall we continue on our way? The Ning family's first elder said to Lung Ruoxue as he looked at the snow. Let's wait a few more days. The snow has just stopped, so I'm afraid the road won't be easy to walk on. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. That's good. The first elder of the Ning family nodded slightly. Then everyone stayed in the same place for a few days. However, after the snow stopped, some of the Ning family members couldn't stay idle and went hunting together. However, they didn't dare to go too far. Furthermore, Lung Ruoxue was afraid that they would encounter some unknown danger, so she had specially instructed Ziyu to go with them. After they came back from hunting, each of them was carrying 2 fat snow rabbits in their hands. It could be seen that they had a good harvest. Chapter 1249. The Snow Fox That Descended from the Sky. For, Miss, this is for you. Ziyu walked in front of Lung Ruoxue and took out a few palm-sized rabbits from her bosom. Those little rabbits were pink and tender. Some of their eyes had not opened yet, and at this moment, their small bodies were all curled up. It was unknown whether it was because of the cold or because they were scared. Lung Ruoxue looked at the little rabbit that Ziyu handed over, and her forehead was filled with black lines. She couldn't help but secretly sigh. What was the meaning of this? Did he want her to raise them to eat meat? Or did he want her to treat these rabbits as pets? However, she really did not have any interest in raising rabbits. Furthermore, she absolutely believed that her beasts would definitely treat these rabbits as food. It was absolutely impossible for them to get along with rabbits in peace. After all, food was food. Doesn't Miss like furry little animals? These little bunnies are all very cute. Looking at Lung Ruoxue's puzzled expression, Ziyu said with some embarrassment, "No matter how cute they aren't as cute as me. Big sister doesn't need these rabbits, you should take care of them. When they grow up, we'll eat them as food." The baby lying in Lung Ruoxue's arms snorted arrogantly. A few rabbits actually wanted to compete with it for favor. They were simply dreaming. That's right, they're food. Qiu Qiu echoed. Looking at the 2 little fellows, Qiu Qiu and Bao Bao, who were eager to get rid of these rabbits, Ziyu was really speechless. The young Miss Beasts were too good at fighting for her favor. He didn't even let the rabbits go. "Miss'll take care of these rabbits." After a long while, Ziyu said helplessly, Yes, fatten them up. We want to eat." Bao Bao glared fiercely at Ziyu. It could read people's minds and see through their souls, so naturally, Ziyu's thoughts couldn't be hidden from it. "You guys hunted so many rabbits. Are you planning to eat them tonight?" Lung Ruoxue was a little speechless. Could it be that these people had raided the rabbit's nest? "Miss Lung, we didn't want to only hunt rabbits, but it has been snowing for so many days. Besides rabbits, we can't see any other animals, so we can only make do with it." The Ning family members who went hunting couldn't help but complain. "Then let's eat rabbit today," Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Not only that, for the next few days, the food for Lung Ruoxue and the rest was mainly rabbits. After eating for a few days, no one wanted to eat rabbits anymore. Thanks, on the 5th day after the snow had stopped, the snow in the snow mountain had become much more solid. After Lung Ruoxue and the demon child went out for a walk, they decided to set off immediately. The herbs in the snow mountain that liked the cold seemed to have grown stronger after the snow. Furthermore, with Qiu Qiu leading the way, they easily gathered a few snow lotuses that were not too old. Lung Ruoxue also promised that after they were refined into pills, she would give each of them a few. Qiu Qiu led Lung Ruoxue and the rest towards the area where the medicinal herbs were abundant. After the Ning family members received Lung Ruoxue's promise, their interest in picking the medicinal herbs grew even higher. "Io! Who hit me?" Suddenly, an elder of the Ning family who was squatting down and concentrating on picking herbs shouted, "Why are you acting so surprised? No one would hit you." The Ning family's first elder lifted his eyelids and said indifferently, "Someone really hit me." The Ning clan elder said with a wronged expression. Just as he finished speaking, something fell from the sky and hit him on the head, knocking him out and pressing him down. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest saw this, they were speechless. They felt pity for him. What a poor guy. He was so unlucky. However, they were more interested in the giant that had knocked out this elder of the Ning family. The huge creature was like a small mountain. Its whole body was snow-white. However, at this time, its snow-white fur was stained with blood and full of wounds, which made people tremble with fear. It was obvious that this was a snow fox that had been seriously injured. After the fox fell from the sky, it was already in a state of unconsciousness. If it had not been for the elder of the Ning family acting as a cushion for it, it would probably have died. Miss Lung, didn't you want a snow fox? Here, I've brought it to you. Seeing this situation, the Ning family's first elder couldn't help but laugh. Although their Ning family's elder had been knocked unconscious, this fact was too funny, and he couldn't control himself. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded helplessly as she watched the Ning family's first elder laugh wildly without any reservations. Then, she took out a white pill from her bracelet and stuffed it into the mouth of the giant snow fox. Chapter 1250. The Truth About the Secret Realm. 1. Not long after, the huge snow fox opened its eyes and looked at the people in front of it with vigilance. It knew that the people in front of it had saved it. However, the things that had happened in the past few days had made it wary of everything. When Lung Ruoxue saw that the huge snow fox had woken up, she knew that its injuries were almost healed. However, when she saw that the snow fox was pretending to be mute without saying a word, she couldn't help but smile and say, "We saved you, and you haven't thanked us yet. Thank you for saving me." The huge snow fox was a little speechless. However, it could not help but sigh in its heart. Who would take the initiative to ask others to thank them? Although it indeed should thank them properly, it felt a little strange that such a request came from the mouth of its savior. "You're welcome, little fox. Shouldn't you get up first? Otherwise, our Ning family's elder will be crushed to death by you." Lung Ruoxue looked at the huge snow fox that was still sitting on the ground without moving and was in a daze. She chuckled and teased it. This snow fox's body was as tall as a small mountain, and it was also a fourth-ranked sacred beast. He didn't know if the Ning clan elder would lose his little life after being pressed down by it. "Ai, what an unlucky fellow. I'm sorry I didn't do it on purpose." Upon hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the huge snow fox hurriedly stood up from the ground. It, who was almost 2 meters tall, lowered its head and said in embarrassment, "It's okay, I forgive you." Lung Ruoxue replied nonchalantly. She wasn't the one being used as a meat cushion anyway. "Little fox, I saved your life, so you must remember to repay me." Lung Ruoxue continued. "How do you want me to repay you?" The huge snow fox asked with a puzzled look. It could not help but wonder in its heart. This human woman actually called it a little fox. How is it small? It's obviously huge, okay? However, even though it was slightly dissatisfied with the way Lung Ruoxue had addressed it, it still tacitly agreed to it. After all, she was its savior. At this moment, the man and the fox both threw the elder of the Ning family, who had become a meat cushion, to the back of their minds. "We're not familiar with the snow mountain. Why don't you be our guide for the time being? Of course, I won't mistreat you." Lung Ruoxue pondered for a moment before speaking. Actually, her main purpose was not to have the snow fox act as their guide. It was just that the snow fox had just been severely injured, and was at its most vigilant state. Hence, she had no choice but to use this plan. "It's very cold in the snow mountain. You should go back early." When the gigantic snow fox heard Lung Ruoxue's words, it neither agreed nor rejected her. Instead, it spoke softly as if the matter was none of its business. "It's okay. We're not afraid of the cold. We came to the snow mountain to pick herbs. How can we go back before we've picked all the herbs?" Lung Ruoxue said stubbornly. "You should know where to find herbs, right?" Lung Ruoxue added after seeing the expression on the giant snow fox's face. "I know a little." The gigantic snow fox said indifferently. If they really only wanted to collect some medicinal herbs, it could satisfy them, and even guarantee their safety. However, if they had other thoughts, then it would be helpless. "Then take us there. However, it's a little late today. Let's rest for the night, and you'll take us there tomorrow morning." Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. "Thanks, yes." The huge snow fox nodded and turned to leave. However, it had only taken 2 steps when it realized that Lung Ruoxue and the rest did not move. They were only staring at it intently. It could not help but feel suspicious. "Why aren't you guys leaving? Weren't they looking for a place to spend the night?" I know a place that's very safe. Come with me. The gigantic snow fox turned around and said, No, this place is fine. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she took out the house and placed it on an empty space. The snow fox looked at the house that had suddenly become bigger, and was stunned for a moment. However, it quickly reacted and circled around the house. It was amazed. It really did not expect that this human would have such a good thing. With this house, they would be much safer in the snow mountain. It seemed that it did not have to worry about where they would stay at night. Not far away, the Ning family's grand elder looked at the huge snow fox's calm appearance and sighed in admiration. It seemed that the Ning family could not even compare to a fox in some matters. Look at him, so calm and composed. Looking back at the Ning family's reaction when they first saw the house, he felt a little embarrassed thinking about it now. However, that should be the normal reaction of humans. The great elder consoled himself. Everyone come in. We won't pick them today. Let's eat something delicious tonight. Eat the rabbit meat. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly as she spoke to everyone. At first, when the Ning family heard that they were going to eat delicious food tonight, they were all very excited. However, when they heard that the delicious food was rabbit meat, they all became a little listless. They really didn't want to eat rabbit meat anymore. That Miss Lung. Let's not eat rabbit meat tonight, okay? If we eat any more, we're going to vomit. An elder of the Ning family carefully discussed. The rabbit meat was all hunted by you. How proud it is to eat the fruits of your labor. You should be happy. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. But we really don't want to eat any more. Someone complained in a low voice. However, Lung Ruoxue ignored everyone's reaction and calmly asked, Aren't you guys coming in? When the Ning family heard this, they quickly entered the house, but the big snow fox did not move. Why don't you come in? Lung Ruoxue stood at the door of the house and asked with a light smile. When the snow fox heard Lung Ruoxue's words, it wanted to say something but stopped. Then it walked into the house with elegant steps. After entering the house, Lung Ruoxue instructed Ziyu to arrange a room for the giant snow fox. Then, she personally supervised the Ning family's preparation of dinner. There was rabbit meat for dinner, but of course, there were other dishes. When it was time for dinner, the snow fox walked out of its room. The blood on its body had already been washed away. Its snow-white and soft fur looked extremely fluffy and soft. Coupled with a pair of light blue clear eyes, it looked cute and adorable. Of course, this was only in Lung Ruoxue's eyes. Chapter 1251. The Truth About the Secret Realm 2. In the eyes of the Ning family, the huge snow fox here was dangerous. The Ning family members who were not as strong as it felt a faint pressure being released from the snow fox's body, which gave them a sense of oppression. When the snow fox walked to Lung Ruoxue's side, she could not help but stretch out her fair and tender little hand to caress its snow-white fur, which was as soft as silk. It felt really good. However, before she had the time to sigh at this beautiful touch, she was thunderstruck by the snow fox's bold and confident words. Only my woman can touch me. The huge snow fox looked at the soft little hands that were touching its body, and said with a calm and serious expression, When Lung Ruoxue heard these words, she instantly felt as if she was struck by lightning. Her hand was fixed on the snow fox's body, and she did not dare to move at all. Furthermore, as she was so shocked, she even forgot to retract her hand from the snow fox's body. It just so happens that I don't have a woman that I'm interested in. Since you like me, then I'll devote my body to you. The snow fox continued, but in its heart, it could not help but laugh. It was quite interesting to tease this woman. No need. No need. Cold sweat broke out on Lung Ruoxue's forehead. It was only then that she suddenly remembered that her hand was still on the snow fox's body. She was so frightened that she quickly retracted her hand and carefully looked at the demon. Seeing that his expression was normal and did not show any signs of displeasure, her heart finally calmed down a little. Sob. It was simply too dangerous. Stinky fox, how dare you play with her? Lung Ruoxue, who had regained her senses, naturally knew that the snow fox was just teasing her. However, the evildoer was a jealous person, and there was no reason for him to be jealous. Hence, Even though she saw that the evildoer's expression did not change, she had no choice but to carefully move closer to him. She looked at him with a fawning expression and said, "Let's eat." "All right," he said. The demon smiled and looked at the snow fox not far away with a profound meaning. His dark starry eyes contained a hint of warning, but no one noticed it. After finishing her dinner with her heart in her mouth, Lung Ruoxue pulled the demon back to her room early in the morning. However, before she returned to her room, she took out the charm, baby, and chi from her bracelet so that the snow fox would not feel lonely. In the garden, the huge snow fox looked at the 3 small and cute foxes in front of it and said with certainty, "You guys aren't from the divine realm, are you? How did you know?" The May asked calmly. Although they were both snow foxes, they were of a different species. This was because the snow fox in front of them was the one that lived in the snow mountains. As for the May, although it was also a type of snow fox, it lived in the forest. There are no purple-eyed snow foxes in the fox clan of the divine realm. Not only that, but the number of snow foxes is also very small. The gigantic snow fox explained. In the fox race, the snow fox race was considered a royal race. The purple-eyed snow fox was undoubtedly the king among them. However, snow foxes that possessed the purple-eyed bloodline no longer existed. Therefore, the king of the fox race was now an ordinary snow fox. "We are indeed not from the divine realm." May chuckled. "If you were living in the divine realm, you would have been dead long ago. The Fox King will not let you go." The huge snow fox said in an understanding manner, "Thank you for your reminder, but I don't have any plans to return to the fox race." The May indifferently said, "You've all recognized a master?" The huge snow fox understood. "Yes, our master is Lung Ruoxue." The May explained, "Thanks, does she treat you well?" The gigantic snow fox asked in concern. "Of course. Our lovely master is the best master in the world. Why don't you also recognize our master as your master?" Before the May could answer, the treasure had already snatched it. Furthermore, the treasure even had the intention to abduct her. "I don't have any plans to recognize a human as my master." The gigantic snow fox said softly. It still had its own mission. "You'll regret not recognizing my lovely master as your master." Baby's face was full of regret. "Oh really? I really want to know how I'll regret it." The huge snow fox's curiosity was piqued. "I can't eat anything delicious, and I can't eat my cute master's soft tofu." Baby's face was full of yearning. At least, these 2 things were what it liked the most. However, there was a demon guarding its lovely master, so even if it wanted to take advantage of its master, it had to do it without leaving a trace. Otherwise, if it was caught, it would be waiting for the demon's revenge. After hearing Baby's words, the huge snow fox's forehead was filled with black lines and it secretly sighed. Look at this purple fox's future prospects. It actually treated eating and taking advantage of its master as the most important thing. Can't it have a bigger goal? Don't look down on my dream. It's very important to us beasties. You don't know how many beasties my lovely master has to fight for her favor." At the thought of this, Baby was a little depressed again. There were a lot of beastie who loved their master, so if they were to divide it evenly, they would have very little time. "I'm not looking down on your dreams. My name is Xueing. What about you guys?" The snow fox changed the topic and introduced itself. It helplessly sighed. It could only say that each fox had their own ambitions. The charm, Baby, and Cheese also introduced themselves. Then the 4 foxes started to chat. The next morning, when Lung Ruoxue and the rest walked out of the room, they saw 4 foxes, 1 big and 3 small, snuggling together in the garden, sleeping soundly. When they heard the noise, Xueing was the first to wake up. Following that, May, Baby and Phoenix woke up as well. When they saw Lung Ruoxue, the 3 of them pounced into her arms and rubbed against her coyly. When Xueing saw that the 3 of them were getting along so well with their master, he was happy that they had found a good master. After all, after a night of interaction, he had already regarded these 3 little foxes as his juniors. Therefore, he naturally hoped that they would live well. At the thought of this, Xueing stood up from the ground and walked to Lung Ruoxue. He introduced himself. "I'm Xueing. I thank you on behalf of the Fox clan. Xue Ying's words of gratitude were due to her good treatment of Mei, Bao Bao, and Mo Lung Ruoxue was very clear about this. This was also the main reason why she had removed Mei and the other two little foxes from her bracelet. After all, they were of the same clan, and it would be easier for them to get along with each other. It would also lower the snow fox's guard against them. From the looks of it now, those three little fellows had performed well. Chapter 1252. The Truth About the Secret Realm 3. They are my beastie. It's my duty to treat them well. You don't need to thank me. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Not every master will treat beastie well, so I still have to thank you. Xue Ying said stubbornly. If you want to thank me, then take me to pick more herbs from the snow mountain. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. No problem, he said. Xue Ying replied readily. Although he had promised Lung Ruoxue that he would bring her to pick herbs yesterday, he had planned to simply bring them to pick herbs before sending them down the mountain. Now that he had the three little foxes as a bridge, he naturally had to take this seriously. Of course, he was still not clear about Lung Ruoxue's true motive. In fact, Lung Ruoxue's intentions were not in the wine. Xue Ying was a man of action. After the group continued on their way, he brought them to the place with the most medicinal herbs in the snow mountain. Furthermore, at Lung Ruoxue's request, he brought them to places where ordinary medicinal herbs grew densely. These were places that Qiu could not sense. After all, that little fellow was most interested in natural treasures. After a few more days of herb picking, Xue Ying, Lung Ruoxue, and the others had become familiar with each other. Furthermore, it was not stingy to talk to them about the situation in the snow mountain. After all, it had lived in the snow mountain for many years. Although it did not dare to say that it knew every place in this place like the back of its hand, there was no difference between them. In the garden, a huge snow-white fox was chatting with everyone. Suddenly, an elder of the Ning family asked, Xue Ying, do you know about the secret realm that suddenly appeared in the snow mountain? As soon as this elder of the Ning family said this, everyone in the Ning family stared at Xue Ying without blinking, and Xue Ying was silent for a long time. In fact, the reason why this elder asked this question at this time was also incited by the Ning family's first elder. After all, with such a local snake here, if they didn't take the opportunity to ask clearly, wouldn't they regret it? After a long while, Xue Ying opened his mouth and said indifferently, It's very dangerous there. Don't even think about it. I've brought you to gather enough herbs these few days. You should leave the mountain early. How dangerous is it? The Ning family elder received the great elder's gaze, and continued to ask shamelessly. That place is not a so-called secret realm, but an illusionary realm. Those who are trapped in the illusionary realm will lose their nature if their will is not strong enough. They will want to kill each other, so I advise you not to go. Xue Ying explained softly. You've been inside? Lung Ruoxue grasped the key point and asked. Yes, we Shosho are the same as you humans. We also need natural treasures to aid our cultivation. So when we hear about the secret realm, we are naturally interested. Moreover, the secret realm is located in the snow mountain. It can be said that we are in a favorable position, so how can we not enter? Xue Ying said with a bitter expression. You've been in the snow mountain for a few days. Haven't you noticed that there are pitifully few beasts here? Except for those rabbits, who couldn't enter the secret realm because of their low strength. Most of the beasts entered the secret realm. Later, many adventurers came after hearing the news, and now, all the people and beasts are trapped in the so-called secret realm. Snow Shadow continued. Then how did you escape? Hearing Xue Ying's words, the Ning family's great elder pondered deeply and asked with a frown. If the mystic realm was really as dangerous as Xue Ying had described, he really didn't know how many people from the Ning family would still be alive. So, thinking of this, he started to worry. The talent of our snow fox race can resist some of the power of the illusion. However, I was able to escape because I was seriously injured. You saw it that day. Snow Shadow reminded. How did you get injured? Attacked by an illusion, or? Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. Although the attack of the illusory realm is very powerful, it is still manageable for our snow fox race. However, I am unable to deal with the siege of 3 high-level deities at the same time. Moreover, the 3 people who besieged me did not only have the strength of a high-level deity, they should be from the divine world. Although it was only a guess, Xue was very sure that his guess was close to the truth. After all, no high-level deity could easily use so much divine power. From the divine realm? If that's the case, Miss Lung, I'm afraid this matter is not something we can solve. Why don't we report this to the main family? The Ning family's first elder suggested. Right now, he was very glad that he had firmly followed in the footsteps of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Otherwise, wouldn't they also be trapped in that detestable secret realm? Ill-informed godfather, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Although she was not afraid of this so-called secret realm with the power she had, she did not want to reveal her full strength too early. Therefore, she could only rely on her godfather this time. All right. When the first elder of the Ning family heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he was overjoyed. He knew that if he was the one to inform the main family, it would be hard to say whether the main family would truly value him. However, if Lung Ruoxue were to contact their old ancestor, the main family would definitely not dare to neglect him. Following that, Lung Ruoxue returned to her room and contacted Master Ning. She told him everything that had happened, but Master Ning did not play by the rules. Not only did he not take this so-called mystic realm seriously, but he even secretly complained that Lung Ruoxue had not informed him as soon as she had come out of seclusion. This made Lung Ruoxue not know whether to laugh or cry. After cutting off contact with the master of the Ning family, Lung Ruoxue went to the garden. Miss Lung, what did the old ancestor say? The Ning family's first elder saw that Lung Ruoxue had returned and asked impatiently. Godfather said he knows. Lung Ruoxue relayed. That's it. Did the ancestor say when he would send someone? The Ning family's first elder was a bit disappointed and couldn't help but ask. No, I've already told Godfather our location. Let's wait here for a few days. Don't worry, Godfather will send someone over. Lung Ruoxue promised. Thanks, that's the only way. The first elder of the Ning family said helplessly. Are you really planning to enter the secret realm? Xue, who had been silent for a long time, could not help but ask sigh. Looking at these people, it knew that it couldn't stop them. However, it really couldn't watch them die. Yes, my family and subordinates might be trapped inside, so I have to go save them. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Even though she knew that her grandfather and the others were still alive, she couldn't remain calm after knowing that it wasn't some secret realm. She had to make a trip to the secret realm personally. If she couldn't confirm whether her grandfather and the others were inside, she wouldn't be able to calm down. If her grandfather and the others were really inside, she had to save them. It's very dangerous there. Even if your will is strong enough, you may not be able to resist the influence of the illusion. And if you stay there for a long time, no matter how strong your will is, I'm afraid you will collapse. Xue said with some worry. Then all the more I must go. Lung Ruoxue said stubbornly. Ai. All right. Then I'll go with you. Xue said helplessly. Even though he wanted to keep his life and do what he had to do, he could not just watch Lung Ruoxue and the rest die. Who asked her to be the master of the 3 little foxes? It was so conflicted. Then I'll thank you in advance. Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Although she wanted to find out more about the mystic realm from Xue, she had no intention of letting him accompany her and the others to their deaths. Now that he had taken the initiative to ask, she had to accept this favor. It's not too late to thank me if we can come out alive. Xue said indifferently. Little fox, you're too pessimistic. If you can escape from that so-called secret realm by yourself, why can't so many of us come out? The demon laughed, his handsome face filled with mystery. I don't have any burden on me, so I'll naturally try my best to escape, but Snow Shadow glanced at the Ning family from the corner of his eye. He didn't finish his sentence. In fact, he wanted to say that he was a burden. After all, in its eyes, other than the few elders of the Ning family, the rest of the Ning family were too weak. As for Lung Ruoxue and the others, it did not comment on them. Other than us, there are also a few elders of the Ning family. No one else is allowed to enter the secret realm. Lung Ruoxue gave the final word. The Ning clan did not dare to have any objections to Lung Ruoxue's decision. In reality, after knowing that this mystic realm was not the same mystic realm, no one was willing to enter. However, no one dared to say that they would not enter either. Hence, Lung Ruoxue's decision was exactly what they wanted. However, we still have to wait for a few more days. Lung Ruoxue said after seeing the reaction of the Ning family. Wait for reinforcements? Xueying asked indifferently. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded. For the next few days, Lung Ruoxue and the rest stayed in the house and bided their time. Furthermore, she did as Xueying had instructed and made some preparations. 3 days later, the master of the Ning family personally led a team to the snow mountain. Along with him were the first elder of the Craftsmen's Guild, Mo Yen, Lu Feng, and Lu Yu. Her senior brother Bing Yao had also come. When Master Ning and the rest saw Lung Ruoxue, they naturally exchanged pleasantries and got closer to her. They saw a few extremely handsome men in the garden, pulling Lung Ruoxue and asking her all sorts of questions. When the Ning family saw this scene, they did not even dare to breathe loudly, because none of these people could be provoked. Why are you all here? Senior brother. Do you know where second senior brother is? Lung Ruoxue looked at the familiar face in front of her, and could not help but ask curiously. My disciple might be trapped in that secret realm. How could I not come? Lu Feng was the first to speak. Yes, my disciple might be in there too. Mo Yen said. I'm here to help, Liu said with an elegant smile. I'm here to help you save people so your family and subordinates are naturally mine. We can't distinguish between each other. The first elder said with a smile. The same logic. I haven't found any clues about my junior brother, so I came back to help you save him. Bing Yao explained. Xue, when are we leaving? The master of the Ning family said impatiently. He really wanted to see what kind of secret realm it was that could actually deceive so many people. Those who dared to lie to him had to pay the price. Chapter 1253. Entering the Secret Realm 1. Now, Godfather, didn't you inform the other families in the 8 divine domains? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she asked. I did, but I can't decide if they'll send anyone here. Let's go, girl. The master of the Ning family urged. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Then they walked towards the mystic realm together. As for the Ning family members who were too weak, Lung Ruoxue asked them to stay in the house. After walking for close to an hour, Lung Ruoxue and the rest arrived at the secret realm under the guidance of Xueying. Standing at the entrance of the mystic realm, he looked at the shining teleportation gate. On the right side of the gate were 2 bright words, Mystic Realm. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. This was the first time she had found out that the entrance of the secret realm that had appeared out of thin air had words written on it. Was it because they were afraid that others wouldn't know where they were? The words Secret Realm were clearly marked on the map. Did no one suspect that something was wrong with this place? Or were people's curiosity really that strong? If it was her, she would definitely not go in. Just because it's written that it's a mystic realm, it's a mystic realm? The master of the Ning family looked at the 2 big words next to the portal of the secret realm, and his forehead was full of black lines. He couldn't help but say, Little fox, was this how you were tricked into going in? The great elder asked in surprise and exaggeratedly wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead. That's right, everyone was too excited at the time and no one thought about it that carefully. Xueying was extremely embarrassed. Ever since he found out that this was not the so-called secret realm, he had also discovered many loopholes. However, they had discovered it too late. AI, you're too gullible to have been fooled by just 2 words. Lu Feng's face was filled with disappointment. Yup. We're all too stupid. It knew that the helpers that Lung Ruoxue had found were all very powerful. At the very least, it could not tell their cultivation level. Hence, it had full confidence in this trip to the mystic realm. After all, it also wanted to find out the true purpose of the mystic realm's appearance. Let's go in. Lung Ruoxue chuckled before taking out a few pills and distributing them to the crowd. Xue, what kind of pill is this? The taste is so special. The master of the Ning family looked at the emerald pill in his hand, which was emitting the smell of grass, and asked curiously, "Could this be the spirit awakening pill?" Lu Yue sniffed the elixir and exclaimed in surprise. Although the elixir in his hand was only a low-ranked divine elixir, the ingredients to refine the refreshing elixir were extremely difficult to find. As a result, the price of the refreshing elixir was much higher than the average low-ranked divine elixir. Refreshing pill. Little girl, you took out so many refreshing pills at once. You are really generous. This awakening pill is extremely useful for cultivators of your level. You can keep it for yourself. The first elder looked at the spirit awakening pill in his hand and said to Lung Ruoxue. He was very confident in his own cultivation, and he was slightly familiar with arrays. Therefore, he believed that this illusion wouldn't be able to trap him. Great elder, this medicine is for you in case of an emergency. If we get separated inside, we won't lose our minds when we're trapped in the illusion. Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she explained. After listening to Shui Ying's explanation of the situation in the mystic realm, she began to concoct the spirit awakening pill. After all, the spirit awakening pill's greatest use was to allow one to remain conscious and not be affected by the illusion and do anything wrong. This spirit awakening pill could be considered as the sister pill of the spirit congealing pill because the main ingredient of these two pills was agarwood. Therefore, the spirit awakening pill, which might be extremely precious to others, was nothing to her. That's right, just take it. If you get lost inside, it'll be good for everyone to defend themselves. Why are you being so wishy-washy? The master of the Ning family shouted angrily. It was a gift from his goddaughter, so there was no need to be polite. Although the awakening pill was not particularly useful to him, it was a kind gesture from Xue, so he could not reject it. Thanks, I'm not being shy, the great elder said with an angry face. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Did this damn thing know how to speak? She actually said that he was being shy. He wasn't a young lady, so why was he being shy? Hee. That's just an adjective, meaning that you don't have to be polite. The master of the Ning family said with a smile. Godfather, first elder, let's go in. Seeing that the two of them were about to start quarreling again, Lung Ruoxue quickly interjected. Yes. Everyone nodded in agreement. Wait. Everyone was about to enter, but they were stopped by Xue. What's wrong? Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion. That illusion is very powerful. Those who are below the high-level divine realm should take a spirit awakening pill first. Xue said. After he finished speaking, he ate one first. His words were clearly directed at the Ning family's elders, because in his eyes the strength of the Ning family's elders was the lowest. Yes. Yes. The Ning family's first elder nodded, and then ate a spirit awakening pill. The other elders of the Ning family also quickly ate one. Go in. If we are separated after entering, everyone should adapt to the situation. Lung Ruoxue instructed worriedly. After she finished speaking, she took the lead and walked through the glowing portal. After entering the portal, everyone was separated. Only Demon Yuqing, Ziyu, and Xue were by Lung Ruoxue's side. The master of the Ning family and the great elder were nowhere to be seen. However, she was not worried about the safety of her godfather and the rest. As for the elders of the Ning family, they could only pray for their own good luck. As she looked at the many paths in front of her, Lung Ruoxue realized that this was not just an illusion, but a maze as well. There were simply too many paths in front of her. So many that she had no choice. She did not even know which path was the safest. Furthermore, within this mystic realm, Qingju was actually unable to investigate the situation here. Snow Shadow. Which way should we go? Lung Ruoxue asked for Xue Ying's opinion. I don't know either. I'm afraid the result will be the same no matter which path we take. Let's just take anyone. Xue Ying said helplessly. This secret realm was a scam to begin with, so there was no safe path. Then let's take this one. Lung Ruoxue pointed at the path closest to her. Yes. The few of them nodded and did not have any objections to Lung Ruoxue's decision. Chapter 1254. Entering the Secret Realm 2. After that, Lung Ruoxue and the rest followed the path they had chosen. When they first started walking, there was nothing unusual about the path. However, as they walked, Lung Ruoxue and the rest realized that the path in front of them had changed. It had become wider and the cold wind was blowing towards them, bringing with it a dark aura. Master, why did it suddenly become so cold? Yuqing asked, somewhat puzzled. It should be the illusion. Be careful and don't stray too far from me. Lung Ruoxue warned. Yes. The three of them quickly nodded. However, just as they finished speaking, countless men in black appeared out of thin air. These men in black held sharp weapons in their hands and glared at Lung Ruoxue and the others with a murderous look. In an instant, the men in black charged towards Lung Ruoxue. With a wave of their hands, the men in black fell to the ground. Lung Ruoxue was holding a treasured sword as thin as a cicada's wing. The sword was emitting a heart-palpitating aura. On the blade, a fiery red divine power was circulating around it, wantonly showing off. Ziyu and Yuqing had long since gotten used to Lung Ruoxue's attacks. This was because they had sparred with Lung Ruoxue back at the Lung family's main residence. Even with Ziyi's deity emperor-level strength, she was unwilling to fight with Lung Ruoxue. From this, it could be seen how difficult she was to deal with. Although Xuering had heard the three little foxes talking about their master's perversion, this was the first time he had seen Lung Ruoxue in action. To be honest, he was really shocked. Lung Ruoxue's attacks were ruthless, accurate, and fast. The speed at which she had killed those men in black was just the blink of an eye. Even though a beastie's strength was much stronger than a human at the same level, it was not confident that it could defeat Lung Ruoxue even if Lung Ruoxue's strength was not on par with it. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue's status in its heart had already risen to the level of a pervert. This was because it was very self-aware and knew that it had no way of killing those men in black. After the man in black fell to the ground, Lung Ruoxue and the others watched as the dead man in black turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared before their eyes. They were extremely shocked. They're not real humans? Lung Ruoxue looked at Xueying and said in understanding. This illusionary realm is really brilliant. The men in black that were created by the illusion were all at the high level of the divine realm. In the divine mainland, they were definitely unrivaled. After all, even the Ning family, the leader of the 8 great divine realms, could not bring out so many high level of the divine realm at once. No wonder so many forces and beasts were trapped in the illusion. She believed that this was only the beginning. Yes, they were created by an illusion. Moreover, they can't be killed at all, Xueying said helplessly. Just as it finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue and the rest saw countless men in black appear once again. Can't you kill him? I'd like to try and see if they really can't be killed. Lung Ruoxue held the cold shadow in her hand as she spoke coldly. Then several fiery red meteors pounced toward the men in black. In an instant, many of them were turned into ashes. The demon, Ziyu, and Yuqing were not to be outdone, and they also attacked one after another. Not long after, the black-clothed men who had appeared all disappeared. Xueying looked at the combat power of the 4 of them, and was so shocked that he could not speak. Fuck, was this what they called humans will be infuriated by comparisons? Beasts will be infuriated by comparisons? At that time, it had spent a lot of effort to kill these men in black, and these annoying men in black kept appearing in a cycle. So at that time, it had killed for a few days before it finally killed a bloody path. However, looking at the situation in front of them, it seemed that they would be able to walk out of this place in a few days. Xueying, what are you doing? You can't be lazy. The moon-eye chuckled and teased when it saw Xueying standing there stupidly. Thanks, hee. I'm just scared by you guys. Xueying spoke the truth, his heart dripping with cold sweat. Right now, he was very glad that he was not their enemy. Otherwise, he would probably die without even knowing how he died. You still need more training. Hurry up and do it. Let's leave this place as soon as possible. Ziyu said with a smile. He had long been used to being beaten by his own young miss, so he understood Xueying's feelings very well. Yes. Snow Shadow replied, and then joined the battle. The men in black appeared again and again. Lung Ruoxue and the others killed as many men in black as they appeared, After about 4 hours, the men in black finally stopped appearing. After waiting for a while, Lung Ruoxue saw that the men in black did not appear again. She then said to the demon and the rest, "Let's continue our journey." Yes. Everyone nodded and continued to move forward. "Miss Lung, there might be some dark creatures in front of us. So everyone be careful." Snow Shadow reminded them after they reached the fork in the road. What kind of dark creatures? Lung Ruoxue was very curious. From what she knew, dark creatures should be synonymous with hell, right? How could it appear in the divine realm? I can't tell. The dark aura of those guys is very strong, and it's very corrosive. So don't get close to them. Snow Shadow explained. I'd like to see what kind of dark creatures dare to come to the divine realm. By the way, are those dark creatures just illusions like the man in black? The demon also asked. No, those dark creatures are real. Furthermore, they are all very powerful. Each of them has the power of a high-level deity, Snow Shadow said after some thought. Since he only has the strength of a high-level deity, then there's nothing to be afraid of. Xue will be able to settle it with a fire. The demon said disapprovingly. The number of dark creatures is not much less than the men in black. Xue said. It doesn't matter, the more the better, just enough for us to kill to our heart's content. The demon smiled indifferently. Well, let's just take a random road. Lung Ruoxue suggested as she looked at the numerous small paths in front of her. Master, let's go this way. I have a good impression of this place. The Moon Eye pointed at the road to her left. Then let's go. Lung Ruoxue replied nonchalantly. When Snow Shadow heard Moon Eye's words, his forehead was covered in cold sweat. He thought to himself, in fact, the result is the same no matter which path we take. That's why no matter how good I feel about them, I'll still encounter those annoying dark creatures. Chapter 1255. Entering the Secret Realm 3. Sure enough, not long after they left, the dark creatures that they had been waiting for appeared in batches. These dark creatures had huge bodies and strange shapes. They came in all shapes and sizes, and many of them had no eyes. To be more precise, he didn't know where their eyes were. Lung Ruoxue looked at the dark creatures in front of her, and felt extremely disgusted. What the hell were these things? Not only were they ugly, their bodies were also flowing with a dark green liquid, and giving off a strong stench. No matter how she looked at it, they were comparable to the vengeful spirits they had encountered before. No, it was more disgusting than those vengeful spirits. Meanwhile, the demon's pitch-black starry eyes were staring at the dark creatures that had appeared in the firmament. He was filled with anger. Xue, you can't let any of these things live. The demon said calmly. Yes, let's start. With Lung Ruoxue's order, the few of them who were already prepared immediately started to attack. Lung Ruoxue was in charge of purifying these dark creatures. The few of them worked together tacitly. Not long after, many of the dark creatures were exterminated. Let's continue forward. Xue said. Will these dark creatures appear again? Lung Ruoxue asked out of curiosity. I don't think so. Last time, I only came this far. I'm not sure what's in front of me. Xue said, a little embarrassed. Then let's continue. Since we're here, we must figure out the secret behind this secret realm. Lung Ruoxue said. Yes. No one had any objections. After that, everyone continued on their journey. After walking around the secret realm for half a day, other than the occasional black-robed man, Lung Ruoxue and the rest did not see any dark creatures or other strange things. However, none of them dared to let their guard down. As they walked, Lung Ruoxue and the others came to a garden. The garden had 100 flowers in full bloom and 100 birds chirping. The scenery was extremely pleasant. Even Lung Ruoxue and the rest were mesmerized by the beautiful scenery in the garden. They found a stone chair in the garden and sat down. Then 2 beautiful maidservants came out of nowhere and served them tea. Please don't stand on ceremony. For you to be able to come here, it's also fate that you have with my master. One of the maidservants said with a smile. May I know who your master is? Lung Ruoxia's beautiful face was filled with curiosity. Young miss, don't worry. Master is busy now and can't meet you in person. When he's done, he will naturally meet you. The maidservant quickly said. Oh, you mean we have to wait here for your master? Lung Ruoxia chuckled as she asked. Hee. The scenery here is so beautiful, so it's not impossible for you to stay here. The maidservant reminded. That's true. Lung Ruoxia nodded in agreement. Thanks, everyone, please don't stand on ceremony. My master has specially ordered me to prepare these for you. Don't let down my master's good intentions. The maidservants urged Lung Ruoxia and the rest to eat. However, no one moved. They only smiled at the two maidservants. Your master is so hospitable. How should we repay him? Lung Ruoxia asked with a smile. Hee. My master has always been a good host. He doesn't need you to repay him, as long as you're grateful. The maidservant said. Oh, Lung Ruoxia responded softly, but she couldn't help but sneer in her heart. She was just treating them to a meal, and she wanted them to be grateful? Did these people think they were fools? You guys should eat quickly. Don't be polite. Seeing that Lung Ruoxia and the rest were still not making a move, the maidservant could not help but ask anxiously. Let's put it there first. We're not hungry yet. Well, eat when we're hungry. Lung Ruoxia chuckled. All of you can leave first. We'll call you if we need anything. Lung Ruoxia then said impolitely, hee. It was these two maidservants who told them not to be polite, so she would naturally treat them like servants. Then we'll take our leave first. If Miss and the others need anything, you can call us at any time. One of the maidservants said with a difficult expression. She was very anxious in her heart, but since the other party was not willing to eat, they could not force him to eat. Seeing the two maidservants leave the garden unwillingly, Ziyu secretly sent a voice transmission to Lung Ruoxia. Miss, this place is too abnormal. We have to be more careful. Well, the two maidservants just now are not real human beings, so I'm really curious about what kind of thing their master is. Since they are so hospitable, let's stay here for the time being. Lung Ruoxia transmitted her voice to everyone. Following which, Lung Ruoxia and the rest settled down in this mysterious place. 3 days later, the maidservant came to pass on a message, saying that their master could see them. They followed the maidservant to the study room. Lung Ruoxia and the rest finally met their mysterious master. In the study room, a young man was sitting on a chair and smiling at them. The man looked to be in his early 20s and was extremely handsome. On the surface, he seemed to be a high-level deity. After seeing them, the man stood up and warmly invited them to sit down. After that, everyone began to chat. However, when Lung Ruoxia asked him what this place was, the man tried to avoid the topic and changed the topic skillfully. Young Master Wang, you still haven't answered my question. Lung Ruoxia chuckled. The man in front of them claimed that his surname was Wang, and he was from the Wang family of the God World. However, they had never been to the God World before, so they naturally had no way of judging the authenticity of this man's words. Miss Lung, to be honest, I don't know where this is either. When I woke up, I was already here. The man explained. Oh, did this mean that young Master Wang had sleepwalked to this place? Or are you still in a dream? Lung Ruoxia asked, unwilling to let him go. What is sleepwalking? The man who claimed to be surnamed Wang asked with a question mark on his face. I just fell asleep and ended up here. Lung Ruoxia's forehead was full of black lines. It seemed that the people of the immortal realm didn't know what dreamwalking was, even though the person in front of him might not be human. Chapter 1256. Entering the Secret Realm 4. Oh, then I should be considered to have sleepwalked. The man said with certainty. Then does young Master Wang know how to return to the divinity? Lung Ruoxia probed. Why should I return to the divine realm? Isn't this the divine realm? The man said in shock. This is the godly land. Lung Ruoxia was very honest. How is this possible? The man's handsome face was filled with disbelief. What's impossible about it? Besides, it's said that this is a secret realm. However, apart from some nauseating things, we didn't find anything like a secret realm. As Lung Ruoxue spoke, she observed the man's reaction. She also noticed that when she mentioned the nauseating things, the man's expression was a little unnatural. Oh really? Although I've been living here for a few days, I've rarely left this garden. Miss Lung, when you leave, I'll go with you. I also want to see what this secret realm looks like. The man's face showed a strong curiosity. Alright, let's leave now. This secret realm doesn't look small, and there are many places I haven't been to. Lung Ruoxue said impatiently. Okay, then I'll go pack my things. After the man finished speaking, he stood up and left the study. As she watched the man's back, Ziyu transmitted a message with some worry. Miss, are we really bringing him along? Aren't you curious about what he is? Didn't we wait for a few days just to figure out his identity? What a great opportunity this was. If I don't bring him along, I don't know when I'll be able to meet a decent human next time. I don't want to communicate with those disgusting creatures. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. Of course I'm curious, but I feel uneasy bringing him along. Ziyu said worriedly. What are you afraid of? Well, deal with whatever comes our way. No matter what he is, he won't be able to escape our grasp. Lung Ruoxue said confidently. Seeing her lady so confident, Ziyu didn't say anything more. After all, he was a divine emperor. If Miss wasn't afraid, then he wouldn't be afraid either. However, it was necessary to be more vigilant. After a while, the young man had finished packing and returned to the study room. He smiled at Lung Ruoxue and the rest. Miss Lung, I've packed everything. Let's go. Thanks, all right, he said. Lung Ruoxue and the rest acknowledged. Following that, they stood up and left the fairyland-like garden. Along the way, they had gained a few more companions. After they left the garden, Lung Ruoxue and the rest walked in front while chatting and laughing. Young Master Wang and his two maidservants followed closely behind them. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue turned around and smiled at the young man. Young Master Wang, why are you all walking so slowly? Could it be that you've been attracted by the beautiful scenery on the road? Hehe. Miss Lung really likes to joke. This road is so bare that not even a tree can be seen. Where is the beautiful scenery to admire? Ah. The man's face was full of smiles as he calmly replied. You're right. However, you're walking too slowly. If you continue like this, I'm afraid we'll have to spend the night on this road. Lung Ruoxue reminded him with a smile. Miss Lung, it's getting late. Why don't we find a place to spend the night? It doesn't matter if I'm a man, but I can't let you women sleep in the wilderness. The man said considerately. All right. Lung Ruoxue nodded in agreement. This so-called secret realm was divided into day and night. The men in black and the dark creatures that they had encountered when they first entered the secret realm appeared during the day. As for what would appear at night, they were very curious. After all, they had stayed at the man's place for 3 days and had been safe and sound. The group found a relatively spacious and clean place to set up their tents. The young man then instructed his two maidservants to prepare some food. However, Lung Ruoxue and the rest did not dare to eat the food they prepared. After giving an excuse that they were not hungry, Lung Ruoxue and the rest prepared to return to the tent. Their tent was large enough to accommodate all of them and the huge fox. Seeing that they were about to enter the tent, one of the maidservants couldn't help but speak up. You're all going to live in the same tent. The maidservant's eyes widened as she asked in disbelief. Is there a problem? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she retorted. That's not very appropriate. The maidservant said softly. In her heart, she despised Lung Ruoxue and the rest's behavior. In her opinion, these humans were too messy. How could they all live together? There was even a fox among them. What's inappropriate about that? They're all my people and my beasts, and they have to serve me at night. It's more convenient to live together. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly, but she couldn't help but think in her heart, if we don't live together, it'll be so convenient for you guys to take action. And she would not let these people succeed so easily. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.